you getting yourself ready for our show?
Everybody, it's another Tuesday. We got a brand new, hot off the presses edition of Jigs and Bigs for you guys. Happy Easter, or dare I say, hoppy freaking Easter to you. We've got the MAKB knockout series that started. Lots of folks getting into their first round and stuff. We've got some info coming up on that. I did quite a bit on the banks this last week. Not all of it fruitful either way, a lot, but there were some discoveries made. We'll talk about that. Sean the Fisherman caught himself a big old fish. A biggin. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that. In fact, if you're watching this now and you're seeing the artwork for this episode, bona fide biggin right there. In just a tip, we're going to talk about paying attention to local forage and the details of where you're fishing. You know, match the hatch, they say. We're going to find out some info about that. And this week in FTG, we got a good one. We've got more ramp shenanigans this week. This one hits close to home, in fact, with a close friend of the show. Guys, you're not going to want to miss out on this. We got such a good show. No guests this week, unfortunately. We just got some scheduling conflicts coming. We got some good stuff coming up for you, though. You're not going to want to miss out, guys. We got much more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this. Join us. Good morning, everybody. Or good afternoon, or good evening for that fact, as we are creating evergreen content here, and you guys can listen to this whenever the hell you want. And by the way, we appreciate you listening to this at any point. In fact, our last two episodes have gained a huge spike in listeners within a 7-day window, more than we have ever seen. In fact, in any given week, we have beaten our record of spins in a 7-day episode by about 500, which is kind of awesome. Thank you, guys. We appreciate that. Jigs and Bigs, of course, is on all major podcasting platforms or streamable for free anytime at jigsandbigs.com. If you're one of those folks that just doesn't quite get podcasts, or you're not a podcast person, check it out there, and consider leaving a review. Sean, how the hell are you today, man? How are things?
Well, I'm feeling a little under the weather, as we discussed beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Right before we started recording, though, as usual, we give a couple minutes for the room for the patrons to fill up, so some people get to watch.
Yeah.
We had Jerry Multi-House pop in. We got Gravy Fishing hanging out, and Gravy threw a question at me before we started. So I decided to wait on that and say fuck it, because we don't have a guest. Let's start the show off right by answering a question.
Yeah, I love questions.
I didn't use my gigantic clutch American Eagle backdrop today, and we have video, or the internet is cooperating today, which thank you, internet gods. And Gravy asked, never noticed the fish tank in Sean's background. Anything good in it? Well, let me tell you what's in there, Gravy. I have a small colony of cherry shrimp. I've got a couple of Amano shrimp. They're my little bottom feeder cleaner guys. They do the back-breaking work of eating, fish shit and whatever falls to the bottom of the tank.
Fish shit.
And then I have two small schools of what are they called? Galaxy Rasboras, also known as celestial pearl danios. They grow to be about 1 inch long, and they look like they're dark fish with an orange belly, and they look like someone dotted them with little white dabs of paint. They're really, really gorgeous fish for being so small. And then this is a weird one. I have a small school of white cloud minnows, which are not unusual. You can find those in pet stores anywhere. Another small fish, again, because my tank is only 5 gallons. Mm-hmm. But these little white cloud minnows, I went to Petco one day. Normally, I don't buy things at Petco. I go to, I'm what is the term? A little bougie with my aquarium. So I go to some specialty stores.
You got a tank guy. You got a fish guy.
I got a few fish guys, right? Well, I'm at Petco for whatever reason. I think we were buying crickets for one of my son's lizards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I see white cloud minnows in there. And I said, well, these are priced inexpensive. I said, well, what's going on with these? You guys never carry these. And it turns out one of the workers there was some sort of biology major, and he had purchased the white cloud minnows to do some sort of, I don't know if it was genetic test, some sort of science experiment on them. And the professor said, absolutely not. We're not doing that. And he brought them to work and said, here, I'm donating these, said, put them on sale. So I saved 5 of them, and they are living happily in my
That's
fish tank.
awesome.
Now,
you mentioned the white cloud minnows right there, but I think Wild Bill was telling me he's a big pet fish fan. Like, he likes to go with the pet fish versus dogs and cats and stuff. I think it's just the containability or something. But he told me that he's got a school of white claw minnows. White claw minnows in his tank, and which I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently they are. And if you swallow them, they taste like mangoes.
And you know how they know? You know how Wild Bill knows when they're ready to eat, right?
How's that?
They just go, Bill, we're ready.
Bill, we're ready.
Super.
Speaking of Wild Bill, now that I think about it, man, he had sent me a DM on Instagram today. This is fantastic. He sends me a DM and he goes, oh, where is it? Oh, no. It was a comment to one of my posts. Did you see that post that I put up, that reel with my my derpy little dog, my Boston?
I did, with the brainless music in the background.
Yes, absolutely. So he comments on that and he says, he's like, yeah, they're lucky, they're cute. He says, so I have a great Jigs and Bigs story. I guess around 1 a.m. earlier today, everyone's sleeping in the car and they had just come back from Florida. They had been on vacation. They're driving back from Boston. They had flown in, and he goes, it's early in the morning. He's like, and I put on this week's Jigs and Bigs in order to stay awake. And I guess this is at the point where you said that the TBO Turney body of water sucked, and I said, we don't polish a turd here. And I guess at that point, Mrs. Wild Bill had woken up, and for 20 seconds all she heard was, yeah, we give you a turd and you fucking like it, take that turd. And she's like, what the fuck are you listening to? So I'm glad we could create that shared moment for a lovely married couple. I think there's a shared moment like that on the drive home from the airport. Gravy also comments and says that he's going to send you a picture of his tank. He says he's got a 2-foot red-tailed catfish.
I hope tank's not code for anything, Gravy. I don't want any dick pics. Well, real quick, let me wrap up this aquarium conversation to start off this week's show that came out of nowhere. Thanks, Gravy, for the content.
That's what I love about this first segment.
Yeah, we don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Years and years ago, I went on a fucking rant, just an
I can't believe that.
I know. An anti-fucking the way things are done rant with fish tanks, because I hated changing out filters and doing this. And then I found out that there was a hobbyist, I believe she's in one of the Carolinas, that decided to completely subtract filters from the equation and wrote a book on it. So I picked up her book and learned how to do this myself. So I haven't actually used filters in fish tanks in like 15 years.
It's all about what you have in the tank, like in creating like an ecosystem, right?
Correct. Yeah. So instead of using filters, I actually put, I have bags of this shit, but I use Miracle Grow garden soil, and then I pull all the sticks and twigs and the real wood stuff, because it makes the water tannic, like tea colored. Yeah. So I get rid of that shit, and then I put a layer of gravel over it, and then you overplant the tank. Because I always wanted to have plants in my fish tank, and they would always die because the water was all fucked up. Yeah. So basically, I've made ponds in my houses with fish tanks for years now, and all you really need is a tank and a good Jesus, the LED lights for fish tanks are not only inexpensive, but they're so powerful. I mean, you can grow anything. So I used to have I would read that, hey, this one particular plant, if you grow it, or if it can get growing, it'll get really big in your fish tank. And I was never able to do that until I started using soil in my fish tanks. And when I did, all of a sudden, like, these little plants were the size of basketballs. They were huge. Oh, wow. So I was growing that. And then the fish, like they say, hey, this fish has a life of 2 to 4 years or whatever. And all of my fish were reaching their maximum lengths of life. So they live really well. Yeah. It's just regular water. You're not do anything crazy to it, and the plants and the shrimp do all the work.
Yeah.
So the plants make the oxygen, the shrimp clean everything up, and life's good. You just got to find stuff that's not going to bother the shrimp or the plants. And
that's not going to disrupt the system that you have worked out. Does it, when you fill that tank, is it like super just messy and then all the sediment eventually settles, or?
No, it's just like any other fish tank. You fill it, you put like you can put a bowl, like a fucking cereal bowl at the bottom, and you pour it like that into the bowl, and it disperses. It makes the water kind of like umbrella out instead of coming down in one stream.
Yeah, less pressure.
It just spreads that water out, and then once you get it filled about halfway, it doesn't matter. But I mean, the weird thing is, like with this method, even if you have not conditioned the water, you can take like, you're not supposed to put like tap water in a fish tanks because the chlorine will kill the fish.
That's what they say. Yeah, doesn't matter.
It doesn't even matter. You dump it in there, and the plants just start working immediately. It's amazing.
That's
I've never
awesome,
killed
man.
a fish that way. Like fish right out of the pet store, chlorinated water. As long as the plants are in there, life's good.
Oh, that's great.
So there you go. There's aquarium corner with Sean the fisherman, Sean the aquariist.
There we go.
Aquarium owner, aquarium enthusiast, amateur pornographer.
And there we go. That's the perfect title. That, I think, is exactly where we need to go with it. So I had my week this week was kind of lackluster. I got my taxes done. That was a big part of it. So that was something. What else did I have going on? I did a lot of bank fishing, short missions out. I had, what was it? Chloe had 2 half days this week. So, that Mr. Mom schedule of like, doing school pickup and everything. Well, I was doing school pickup much earlier in the day than before. So I think Thursday I got a real good day out there. I think Thursday was right before we got that little front that came through. And that's when I had my most success, was right before that front. And you and I had talked about that, and you're like, so what do you think it was that had kind of like turned the fish on for you that day? Because I started actually at one body of water. I couldn't get a bite, and I said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to go over to this other spot. And I was there for about an hour and a half, and I managed to catch 3. And I intentionally changed up my bait to see if it was just one of these things where they were on, or if I was actually throwing like the right thing. And when I switched up my bait, they were still biting. I mean, I was still getting them. I managed to get 3, and I've been working. I don't want to say I've been sort of like unintentionally working on building my confidence with spinnerbaits and chatterbaits. Not that wasn't necessarily the goal. I mean, really, if I have a goal with a bait right now, it's with the big swim baits. Mm-hmm. But I'll go and give them their window of time. Every time I change a spot, I'll work them into the rotation. And if I can get bit, then wonderful. If I can't, I can't. And I'll try something else. But lately, it just seems that I've been throwing a lot of spinnerbaits because we've had a shit ton of like sustained wind regularly all week this week, just like pockets of like, that like 8 to 12 mile an hour wind continuously. And I'm like, let's throw some spinnerbaits. And they've been performing chatterbaits too. And it was interesting. It was fun. So then that was primarily my week. Now I did have a little bit of a dilemma. Now, I was a little afraid of this situation. While I was at this one pond where I was having this luck on Thursday, I'm fishing and I'm doing my thing, and I'm I was getting ready actually to leave, and I'm packing up my gear, and I grab my rods, and down on the ground I noticed that there is an SD card, like a digital SD card, right? And I'm like, oh shit, is that for the podcast? Because what I do when I edit the show is we record on a digital recorder, right? And if anybody's ever interested in the gear that I use to do this podcast, I'll gladly talk about it someday. So I record on an external audio source, a recorder. So I record on that, and I use the SD card as the format. I grab the SD card out of that because it's easier for me just to grab my laptop and edit from that, like while I'm hanging out with the dogs and doing stuff for work, and like running my business, just to do it in phases. So I'll work on segment 1, after breakfast, and then, maybe I'll go and get back to like segment 2 and 3 after I'm done with lunch, and then I'll do the upload, stuff like that. So I'm like, did I drop this? Because it was the same brand of SD card that I use. So I grab it, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, I look in my my recorder today, and I'm like, oh, that's in here already. I was like, where did this come from? So I was kind of like, what to do. I was afraid to look at it. You know what I mean? Not because I'm like, oh, there's going to be something crazy on here, but like, what if there's something on here that I shouldn't see? You know what I mean? What kind of ball of wax is this? Well, come to find out, it was, I am for sure, without a doubt, this was a photographer using that location to shoot pictures in the fall. It was a family, like, in a big pile of leaves right where I was fishing from months and months and months ago. And this thing was probably just chilling, hanging out there. I can't even believe it worked. Now, the problem is there's nothing indicating who this belongs to. And I don't necessarily feel right about like posting a bunch of pictures and saying like, who took these? Whose kids are these? You know what I mean? So I'm like, what do I do? My wife is like, would you just fucking format it and use it? Like, there's nothing else you can do. I'm like, yeah, I think you're right. So that was probably about the most exciting discovery I had while fishing this week. But that brings me to Saturday. So what was it? Was it late Friday night? It was on my way to work on Friday night. I had, you know, earlier in that day, I'd worked out schedules with my wife, and I said, look, I'm looking to get out and fish on Saturday, do a little bit of pond hopping, figure something out. And I threw out a post on Instagram for on my story. And I basically just said, hey, looking to pond hop or in and around Western Mass. If you're interested, hit me up. And good friend of the show, Eric Dowd, did get in touch, and we decided we were going to go. It's been quite a while, actually, since we've gotten out and fished together. So we decided we'd go out. I said, you know what? I'm going to drive out your way, and I'll pick you up, and then we'll just kind of like pick some ponds. And we did like my favorite kind of fishing, which is like where you're just like, all right, where are we going? First thing you do, just look at a map, you know, and you're like, okay, so this is the target area that we're going to. Let's go find a spot and figure it out. And the one kind of challenge that we had was that the wind was coming in from the south, which made those north banks that much harder to fish from because you were just casting straight into the wind. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely bananas. So we kind of struggled with the wind. Most places that we went, some places it actually worked for us, you know, because bank access also limits things significantly. It really does. Makes things kind of tricky. So we had gone to, I think, 4 different places, and in between we stopped and we had lunch at a great little spot in Central Mass, the Clam Box. And we headed out after that to our last 2 spots and tried to catch some. Eric caught a couple. I could not get a bite anywhere. Bumped into some good friends of the show that were out fishing a tournament in the same water system where we were. We actually caught them at different bridges, you know, and I'm like, I know that boat. You got to be kidding me. So got to say hello, which is always awesome. You know, we had a real good time. Came home that night, gorged myself on Indian food, and slept like a baby. A lot of people have been asking, they're like, Bobby, do you really have like disdain for that little puppy, that gray Boston that you posted? And I'm like, yes, I do. In fact, let me explain exactly the disdain I have. You have to understand, I love both my dogs. I have 2 Boston Terriers. Hudson, the older of the 2, is my homeboy. I love this dog. If I truly believed he wouldn't freak the hell out, he would be on the bow of my kayak just chilling. I would probably lose the storage to make a little bed for him so he could just hang out. But I think he would probably lose his fucking mind and ruin a day of fishing. So I leave him at home. But I would love to bring him out to stuff, but he's kind of a maniac. Eleanor, which is the gray one, is my Mrs. Roast Beef's little baby. We got her in fall of 2020, and when we decided we were not having any more kids, we got another puppy. That was the plan. So my wife loves this pup. She loves Eleanor. She can do no wrong. And I'm starting to think that she tries to do all the wrong to see how far it goes. This dog, we actually did really well getting her trained, you know, I think we got her at like 7-8 weeks. She was really young when we got her, and she was a runt of the litter. So, I mean, she was super tiny. She did great. She put on a bunch of weight. She's grown like a weed. She's still pretty small for a Boston, but you know, I mean, she's totally healthy. Everything's great. But it's almost like she just doesn't give a shit, because she will sneak right up behind you and piss or shit on the floor, not make a peep. And this will be right after we've already brought her out. You know what I mean? Now, that's not even the most obnoxious thing that she does. That's not even the most. The worst is this. So the routine is this. I get home from doing my job. I come home. I've been out, you know, melting faces, entertaining, making people happy. I come home and I will find my wife chilling on the couch with Eleanor up with her, all wrapped up in some kind of a blanket, sleeping. Everything's cool. And, you know, Holly has to get up early in the morning. So she usually will go upstairs shortly after I get home. I'll settle in on the couch with Eleanor, wait until about like 11 o'clock or so, because I know if I go to bed too early, she's going to be up like crazy. Well, now she started getting up at like 4 a.m. and she will just bark and bark and bark and bark. It's crazy. So we started giving her a melatonin at night, thinking this is a good idea. And the reason I'm there's a whole lot of explanation here, but in the past few weeks, with the week before, a week ago, when I had gone out to fish with Joe, the bearded angler, I got up crazy early because we wanted to be at Old Glory for 5 a.m. And I was up crazy early. I brought Eleanor and Hudson out, put them back in, and Eleanor slept until about 6:30. It was actually kind of nice. Unfortunately, Holly had to work that day, and she was up at the butt crack of dawn anyway, which kind of sucked. This weekend was not the case. I didn't have to get up that early because we were staying relatively nearby to Western Mass, and we're not trying to get to like Old Glory for opening. And we roll in, and I start getting messages from my wife. Now, I had gotten up 15 minutes before my alarm had gone off because Eleanor was barking her ass off. I get, you know, everything together. I go downstairs. I take her outside. She does her business. No problem. I gave her an extra melatonin that morning so that she would sleep in. That was my goal. I just wanted to let Holly sleep in. I left the house, and maybe 20 minutes after I left, she's up and barking again like crazy. So I got home. Holly was just like, oh my God, this dog, she has just been nuts all day. And just like shitting in the house and like crazy. And they're taking her out, but she's just like, and she doesn't bark and let us know. And at this point, we had this window where she would let us know what was up with her. You know what I mean? It's just obnoxious. So anyway, that's why when I posted that reel, that was where that was coming from. I'm like, oh, you don't have a brain. Yeah. There's nothing in your brain. Oh, and rant.
That is fair enough. I mean, I also have two dogs. I have an older lab. He's getting old in age, and he's getting on in age, and he has started to not give a fuck. He'll listen to me and my wife. He won't take off on us. But one of my sons let him out the other day, and he decided, you know, it was fucking Braveheart time, and all you heard was freedom. And my son's chasing him all over the fucking neighborhood because he's like, no, I'm doing what I want, running in the road, jumping on cars, trying to get into drivers' doors. It was crazy. So he's good, but the other one's a beagle.
Oh,
and he gives a shit about nothing but getting fed.
Yeah.
He will trip you in the kitchen. You're carrying knives, hot things. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He will beg and wait for any amount of food. Doesn't care one bit about how you're doing, how your day was. At least the lab will come up and cuddle, and he's a good lab. And, you know, labs are labs. They're friendly dogs.
Yeah.
That beagle, you know, he's got 3 words for everybody. Fuck your life. And that's it.
Yeah, he does. Fuck your life.
That's all. He's great. I mean, you know, did I relate on the show a couple weeks ago? We had a black bear come through the yard.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Very rare occurrence where the beagle was upset and barking. Usually he's pretty silent, which is, again, not a normal trait for a beagle. They're usually barky little bastards, but mine is pretty silent, and no when bears are around.
No, bears bring that out of you. We got Fishing in the Six chimes in here, and he says, watched a huge beaver die in a trap fishing public land this week. Crazy situation. Trapper showed up and got learnt on the beeve. That's rough, man.
Yeah.
That's
that
some
sucks.
shit. Although, if you were interested, Nelson could share a great recipe for beaver shank. Just saying.
Yeah.
Beef
He's
shank
got it.
is apparently very delicious. So,
Well, that aside, I had a
shaking
little
the
bit
beef.
I had a little different week.
You did?
My week was not very beaver filled.
No?
Oh, it was, but not
Gotcha.
outdoors.
Gotcha.
I'm in
Gotcha.
trouble. Yeah, I received a prototype lure from Derek, who we'll hear from later, our good friend at Three Bells, and also the owner and proprietor and shipping guy and manufacturer of Wranglin Baits.
Wranglin.
So Derek did me a solid and said, "Here, try this out." And I requested a particular color pattern from him. One of my classics that I've used for years, another brand popped up with, and I said, "Hey, to try your own twist on this." I'm not going to say what it was, but he came up with a balsa lipless crankbait. So there's no rattles and stuff. So it's a silent lipless.
Oh, okay.
And he painted it up the way I asked, and I got it. And I said, "Wow, this looks great." So I threw some hooks on it, threw all the hardware on it.
Yep.
Told him not to worry about hardware. I'm kind of particular about that.
Sure.
Put my own hardware on it. And I think this was Wednesday. I went out. It was nice enough out. I went out and took a cast off my dock. And I was watching the action on this lure, and I was kind of mesmerized, going, "Oh boy, this is going to do some damage," because it darts and it hunts and it does it slow sinks when it's not darting and hunting. And the first cast, I had a 20 or so inch pickerel right near my house just pop out and smash the thing, and I didn't get a good hook set, but I said, "Whoa, all right, here we go."
That's a good sign.
The fish thinks so as well.
Yeah.
I immediately got on the phone with Derek and said, "Man, you would not believe this. On the first cast, I got absolutely shitholed by a big pickerel." And as I was talking to him, I hooked the lure on a piece of timber near the house and never saw it again. So that sucked.
That blows, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
As I was talking to him, I said, "Well, that's gone. Do me a favor. 3 more of those."
Yeah.
And they just arrived in the mail yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I can redress them, but I didn't have them for Saturday.
Yeah, that could have helped.
Yeah. I mean,
you did fine, but yeah.
Yeah, Saturday was my first round knockout matchup for MAKB. Now, while the tournament started April 1st, nobody's really out here gotten on it because it is a New England-wide tournament. Some of the people up in Maine are still dealing with extremely cold temperatures. So I think the first round is going to be a lot of starting next week is really when we're going to see a lot of the stuff taken care of. And I got out with Oscar Serrano. Oscar is a great guy. He fishes in the Western Division with us. I met him last year. He's one of our core members, and he and I drew each other in the first round. We had a back and forth about where we were going to fish because we could have gone to different places, and I always try to go safety first and fish with someone. I said, "Hey, if you want to fish someplace, you can pick it." We tried that, and I said, "Or, how about we go somewhere we both never fished?" And he liked that idea. So we met up at a lake up to Shears that'll remain nameless that I have not fished. And it's a bigger lake, which was good. Very quiet. I think it was us and maybe 2 bass boats the whole day, and the bass boats weren't out there very long.
Yeah.
When we got out there, it was cold. The water was 42 degrees. And I mean, I went out there prepped, and I think did we mention a couple weeks ago that one of my signs of spring is when I go out on my dock, I know things are going to start heating up as soon as I see perch eggs.
Yeah.
Now, if you've ever seen yellow perch eggs, they look like, I don't know, they look like jizz ropes. You know what I mean? They're all over trees or whatever you got in the water. They wrapped all over. It looks like the world's worst tinsel for a Christmas tree. It's just horrible.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere, all over the place. They have been for a couple of weeks. Now, the Berkshires generally tends to lag behind us temperature-wise because of the altitude.
Sure.
So I usually, and we'll get into this later about paying attention to forage, because that's exactly what I'm talking about. And, we'll get into that in just a tip. But a lot of times in the spring, I will start with a perch pattern up here because I know they're active. They're active before the crawfish. They're generally active before most minnows.
Yep.
The perch are fired up. They're cold water fish. And I got out there with a perch pattern, and honestly, I threw a jerkbait all day, and then I mixed it in with a chatterbait, and I don't think I changed lures all day. I think I went to I tried a couple things at the end of the day because I had such a good day that the last couple hours were experimentation.
Yep.
But I railed this lake. I've never been up there. Again, I like fishing places that I've never fished before because they haven't seen my particular brand of bullshit.
Yeah.
And this was no exception. So I'm not even going to look. I'll just go through it. I had on the jerkbait by 8 o'clock, I think I already had over 40 inches. Now with a 3-fish bag, all right, if you break 40 inches, you've had a good day. 30 inches means you're in rough shape. 30, like I think I won one last year with 39 inches because the other contestant had a worse day than I did. I mean, that's 3 13-inch fish. That's a pretty shit day. But if you got 45 inches, that's an average of 15-inch fish. That's a pretty good day.
That's not
you
bad.
start with 45 and up are respectable,
Yep.
And I had by 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning, I think I had I had a 17, a 16, and like a 15. So I was there. I was over 45, climbing towards 50. And then I had an 18 mixed in there. So I had 18, 17, 16. And then somewhere around like 11 o'clock, man, I got thumped on this jerkbait. And I thought, honestly, this lake has trout in it. I thought it was a big brown trout because there were brown trout and rainbows everywhere. And I thought it was a brownie. It was absolutely not. It was a 21 and a quarter inch largemouth. And again, I don't weigh things, but just with my calibrated hand and calibrated arm, I'm guessing it was between 6 and 6.5.
Yep.
I mean, it looked like it swallowed a fucking football.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's
awesome, dude.
That kind of sealed the deal. So I finished with 56 inches plus, I think 56 and a quarter, something like that, between the 18 even, let's do the math here. 21.25, 18, and 17.5. So that's 56.75. So almost 57 inches, which is a really good bag. You break 55, now you might be in the conversation. I say might.
Yeah, because you never know.
These are last year's standards I'm talking about. As of last year, when people would fish the same lake, you had to. You didn't have the choice of your, God, I hate this term, honey hole.
Yeah.
If you broke 55, you were right up there. I think I had a 57-inch day and I didn't win it. I think Matt Conant had a 59 or 58-inch day, and he did that in the first round. Yeah. And then I think my second round, I get 57, I believe. But either way, I had a great day. Unfortunately, Oscar did get his limit, but he had a lot tougher day than I did. I mean, I ended up with 14 largemouth on the day, a smallmouth. I had a smallmouth throw the hook. And then I did catch a rainbow trout, which is resting comfortably in my refrigerator.
Sweet.
He's going to go down the hatch tomorrow. And a trout, smallmouth, and a small chain pickerel. So
nice.
I did all right. I had a really good day. I will be going back to visit that lake, and it was a lot of fun until
I was going to say it's not like your day went smoothly.
No, the day. This is where the downside is. It was 10 to 15 mile an hour winds all day, but gusts up to 20.
Yeah.
And I love fishing in the wind. I'm one of these rare idiots who likes doing it. I can handle it. The boat's stable enough. I get out there and I fish in the wind. And when I got to the coffin corner of the lake where the wind was terminating, there was a bit of a cove leading into another part of the lake. My pedal drive started acting up. And when I say started acting up, it started with squeaking. And then the next thing you know, every rotation of the pedals, it was thump, 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 to the point where I thought the propeller was actually hitting
the hull,
bottom of my kayak. Yeah. And I said, there's no way. It sticks down below it.
Yeah.
And then it kept thumping and thumping and thumping. And the next thing you know, it seized up. And here's the weird thing. It would work in reverse, but it wouldn't work in forward more than 6 inches. So now I'm fucked.
Yeah.
The wind's blowing me all over the place. I tried paddling straight into the wind. That was to no avail.
Forget it. Yeah.
I actually gave Oscar a call and said, hey, I'm in a little bit of a predicament here because I can't move. Can you tow me over to the other end of the lake where the wind is where it's wind sheltered? And then I can paddle. It'll take me a long time with the fucking Slayer is not
it's not an easy paddle.
Yeah,
no.
It's a very difficult paddle, but at least I'll be able to control the boat. And he came over, got me, and trucked me across the lake. So I bought dinner afterwards.
Nice.
But yeah, that's pretty much how the day ended. I ended up going to grab some dinner with Oscar, and we bullshitted a bit. And again, we'll get into that in just a tip. I'm actually going to relay the conversation I had with him. And then I actually called Derek at Three Bells on the Lake and said, what the fuck? I don't know what's happening here. And he said, no problem. We got you covered. They had contacted Native. As of the time that I was still on the lake, a new pedal drive was being shipped. And
oh, wow.
Derek actually said, this sucks. I understand you're in a tournament. When you're done eating, let me know and we'll meet halfway, which is a 40-minute drive for each of us.
Yep.
And he hooked me up with a loaner pedal drive so I can fish this week. With spring break here, I can actually get out on the water quite a bit. So
that's good.
Yeah, so that was huge. So thank you to Derek for driving out and meeting me and making the best out of a shit situation again.
Nice. Thanks to Oscar, too, for coming out and fucking getting you, man. That's crazy.
Thank you, Oscar, for dragging me out because he didn't have to. We were in a competition. He could
absolutely. He could have been like, wow, that sucks, man.
Yeah, fucking enjoy your fucking paddle back.
Exactly.
I said that. But no, thank you to Oscar. Thank you to Derek. Again, it speaks to the people we fish with in this group, and it speaks to the groups that are supporting us. It's not like, again, we go out looking for, a quick buck. We're not selling that fucking underwear company that we were talking about. We're with good people. We have good sponsors, and we fish with good people. So thank you guys to that. And that was my fishing for the week. Like I said, this week next show I'll have a lot to talk about. I have quite a bit of fishing this week to dig into. Now that I have one that pin largemouth, which I did submit. Yay, another largemouth pin for me.
Nice. You're going to do like I suggest, you're going to get like a denim jacket and put the pins in a pattern around there so they're like sequins.
Yeah.
And when you walk into places, it like rattles. On
the back, that's where an overkill welcome to the gutter patch goes.
Clear, obviously. Obviously.
Yeah. So, now that I have that one on the board, again, that goes into that Big Five tournament the year Big Five, and really 520 inchers will see where you're at, and that's always a goal for the year, 520 inchers, and let's see what I can do.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That is awesome. Yep. We've had some excitement this is tournament wise as far as our own multi-species tournament as well. Like it's been a lot of fun. I was up this morning, and as I was enjoying my cup of monsoon coffee, non-sponsored, I was looking at some of these fish, and I want to share. You guys will get to see a visual of this, but last week's guest on the show, Elise Noel, she had done a little fishing of her own, and I know she put in a smallmouth, and she caught some carp. She put a good-sized carp in. I think a 23 3/4, I think, is what she had entered. Yeah, 23 3/4 inch carp. Great carp, but there was a larger carp that she had caught, and I'm going to go and just put this on screen so you guys can see it. Take a look on screen. Our jig heads that are in here can see this now. Unfortunately, our listeners, I'm going to share this on Instagram. You guys are going to have to check this on our Instagram here. But look at this carp that she caught. Now, it was longer than the catch board, and she did everything right with getting an accurate measurement. She had another measuring board that she was able to line up so that everything was cohesive and it went all in order. And she got a good measurement of it. The problem was that the tail in the picture was cut off and there was no defining factor for it, which sucks. But she managed to have another carp, which is nothing to sniff at. I mean, almost 24 inches worth of fish. That is fantastic. So good job, Ellie.
That carp's fucking bigger than she is.
It really is, dude. It really is. And I love the look on her face. She's like, it's like joy and absolute just like fear right there at the same time.
Joy, fear, and confusion. What the fuck do I do with this thing?
Exactly. This is a giant goldfish. What the frick? Yep. But yeah, I mean, really just unbelievably cool, and then we had some other fish come in too. We had some other largemouth coming in. I think Tim Jakes put in some fish. We'll get to like the standings and all that as far as how the points are, in our next segment and everything. But it was just it was a lot of folks getting out catching some fish, and it was awesome. It was awesome to see him do that. Bearded Angler got some fish in this week too.
He did.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
So, we'll talk about that, and with some Dothraki wedding music in the background.
Dothraki goodness.
But we have to tackle the downside of this.
We do
right now. We do this. We had to do it last year. Maybe we should just kind of.
I feel like this is like it just comes with the territory, you know.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
you know?
We gotta now that this is the second time. You know what I always say. First one's a fish. Second one's a pattern.
Now we got a pattern, baby.
We got a pattern.
Yep.
So we're gonna go over a couple of things that we've been seeing. For everybody that's in this tournament, and it's just a reminder. Got to understand. I think I want to preface this, and this is how I thought when I first started doing this shit.
Yep.
The judges, the admin, whoever's running this tournament, nobody is taking anything personally. If you fuck up on a picture,
yeah,
or
exactly.
If you fuck up on a rule, if you know what I mean, we do not take it personally. We want to see as many entries as you can. So if you fuck up and we call you out on it, right? That sounds bad. If you make a mistake,
if we bring it to your attention.
Yes, if you make a mistake, we bring it to your attention.
Yeah.
We're not putting you down. We're telling you to avoid it for future.
Yeah.
For future submissions. We want to see people turning in fish and having a good time with this tournament.
Yeah.
And not getting all caught up in minutia that is easily avoidable. We're trying to help. We're trying to teach. That being said, I think the first thing is the identifier. And now I'm going to own something here.
Yep.
To make an identifier on Fishing Chaos, I have to give the identifier a fucking name, which is ridiculous.
It's so stupid. Yeah.
It is. All right. I can't. I was on Fishing Chaos with you the other day when I was trying to go through it and change it. I did change the identifier's name. However, after the first two times we had contestants say something to me about this because they had put the identifier's name. I simply put the identifier's name as JB422, not realizing it was actually going to show up everywhere.
Yep.
Two contestants put JB422 on their identifiers. I realized the problem. Initially, I denied the fish and said, I am sorry, I can't do this, but here's my corrective measure. After those two fish, I went back into the rules and I clearly stated in there 4-digit identifier.
Yeah.
And then I went back and said, hey, it's in the rules now. I'm going to give you credit on your fish. I went back to those two anglers and they were happy. They said, thank you.
Yeah, because
no problem. I said, this is confusing.
Yep.
It says identifier. That thing, for whatever reason, has some sort of weird identifier label to it. And I said, well, no problem. That's on me. All right. I'll take care of that. That was the first week of the tournament, possibly the second day, third day.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
I went in and fixed that. The JB422 still stayed there though. And I fixed it to say the rules do clearly say in bold 4-digit identifier. And it'll show when that thing was uploaded with that change. After that, I saw another one. I had to DQ it because it said 4-digit identifier. And then what I had in there was a 5-digit JB422. It's 5 digits.
Yep.
Okay. I said, well, obviously it's still going to be a stumbling block here. I went in and actually found I could change that to what I put Jigs and Bigs
worded it
April tourney or some shit. I really made it.
Instead of an abbreviation of Jigs and Bigs April 22, it was the words all written out. So kind of like, another step to try to avoid the confusion. But this time around, it was in the rules. Like there's just nothing that we can do about it, Yeah. And honestly, the reason why those identifiers are there, and I think that, we talk about, about teaching and all that stuff. And I didn't really understand that necessarily. But the main reason why those identifiers are in there is to create a level of authenticity for the images so that you obviously would not have access to that identifier, and you wouldn't unless you saw the email and you were entered in the tournament, so that we know that it's the equivalent of a hostage holding up a newspaper, is really what it is. It's like it's there to add authenticity to the picture that you have in there. So when we see that, we know that image is from at least the start date of that catch. And, because we make it part of the rules, if it's not in there, it's got to be disqualified.
Yeah. And that's where I was a little torn on the third entry. Should we or should we not allow it? And I said, no, because it's in the rules. So that tells me they didn't read the rules and they didn't read their email. like everyone got an email saying your identifier is this 4-digit code. So there's two things that person didn't read, and I don't even know if they've submitted any fish anymore. I mean, it was a good fish I denied right there, but I kind of felt I had to.
Sure. Yeah.
So read the rules, please. Again, I'm not even in this tournament. Bobby's not in this tournament. We're just managing it. The problem is if someone comes to us, we have anglers that are experienced in these tournaments. If someone comes to us and say, hey, you know, if this person has got the first place fish in this category, I'm in second place. This person has some major issues with their photo submission and it's in the rules and you let it go. This tournament's for money. What the fuck is going on here? Are you favoring this person? I'm not answering that question. I'm not going anywhere near that. Neither are
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
We're running this fairly and ethically. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
So beyond the rules, so let's go a little deeper. I mean, obviously the big major thing is always read all the rules. Okay. Most of the rules I adopted from KBF. It's pretty simple. They have a good setup. Why, you know, it ain't broke. Don't fix it. I did adapt. And it's some of them.
It's also a big trail. There's a lot of people that do this, and a lot of those folks, realistically, that are involved in any type of KBF-associated trails, if they're going to jump into one of our tournaments, it just makes it an easy transition.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
So it works out well.
Exactly. It was kind of a no-brainer. There's I mean, there are a lot of our anglers that jump in do fish KBF or local trails that follow KBF, and we roll with it. There's obviously, you know, we have to make some changes because we allow bait, we allow land, you know, shore fishing, we allow big boats, we allow anything you want, really. And then it takes the onus off me of having to worry about, well, hey, I just saw this guy caught a fish and he submitted a picture, and in the background of his picture, there's a minnow bucket. I don't care. He can use all the minnows he wants. I don't give a fuck. It's nice in that aspect. So getting a little narrower beyond reading the rules. Everyone's got to read the rules. And this should be a no-brainer too. Check your email. Like you're getting, you know, emails come out and they have information in them. If you're an adult and not checking your email, I can't fix that.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, and that's very valid. But just this week, I had a conversation with a guy who works in the tech field, and he had made a statement about, he says, you know, if you're, what is it, over 40? No, if you're 45 or under, there is no reason why you shouldn't have a good understanding of how email works. Yeah. You know, and that's very valid. But then in this conversation, somebody had come up and said, you know, there's a lot of like young professionals that are just getting into the professional world here, where email is really kind of becoming a dinosaur. And I don't mean that, oh, it's all about Facebook Messenger and DMs. No, there's like other platforms that folks are using on a professional level, like Discord is one that I've used, you know, things like that where you have a conversation going. But here's where this becomes difficult. With something like Discord or a social media platform or anything, you're expecting everybody to, one, be a part of that, and then two, be looking at it often enough so that something crosses their news feed, they catch a notification, they get a message, something like that. So email, even though it's dated, is still like a great backup. And one of the things that we discovered was that there is a push notifications option with Fishing Chaos, but that is not reliable.
Yeah.
It is not. We tested it, and I haven't received any of the push notifications from that. In fact, I went so deep into my phone to make sure all of the notification settings were on for that app, and they are, and it's not. So it gets down to email. Like if you're entering this, you really want to make sure that you check your email. I think we're going to have to be double down with all of the messages. Send a push notification. Hopefully it gets there. But we're going to have to send to email as well, because it's definitely getting there. It's just a matter of people checking their email.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, I know there's alternatives out there, but the alternatives are not given by Fishing Chaos.
Yeah.
There's a slot for email address. It doesn't say anything about Discord or any other kind of servers or any shit like that.
Yeah.
It says email. Yeah. Like that. That's the rules of the game, kid. I can't play, I can't change them.
Yep.
So that being said, read the rules, check your emails. What have we seen so far? Now that you've been judging, you've been seeing some things that you've heard me talk about in the past.
Oh, and I have been judging.
Yeah,
You don't
I
even
know.
know.
Well, I know
I
aside from the
ordered this-
boner you've been maintaining from judging.
I have ordered a glass chalice, not a glass, a golden chalice, and a small crown with a velveteen inlay, because that's how I feel when I feel like I have such power. And it's really fulfilling in a lot of ways. But so go on. What were you going to ask me about?
What things have you seen that you've asked me about that people could do better? Or, and I say do better because we know that people are learning.
So there are a couple of things, honestly, and it's really got little to do with the judging side of it for me. But the first year that I did this, I literally was like, I'm done. I just want to throw in the towel. This whole like measuring fish and taking pictures is I just don't care, But I did. There were a number of tricks that some real good close friends of the show had recommended to me, and I will definitely share those for taking a good picture. The identifier is huge. You forget your identifier, you're screwed. So it's a good idea to keep like a magic marker in your bag and just write that sucker on your hand because it's a great backup. If you have nothing, you at least know what the identifier is. You can write it on your hand. Awesome. If I've done it before where I've been out fishing, so that's a big one. The other one is, you get a picture of a fish and, you see these folks that have, there's a couple of features that your camera has that can make this whole process that much easier. I don't know about certain Android phones necessarily, but when you're using an iPhone, when you open up your camera, right, on a standard photo image, at the bottom of the screen there, you have some settings for zoom. You've got 1x, you've got 2, and on the left-hand side, you've got 0.5. That wide range, that 0.5, makes taking a picture of your board without having to take and hold the phone up over your head like crazy high to get it in frame much easier. You can see everything. You just click the picture. In fact, second tip, click 4 or 5 pictures, or even better, hold that button down. If you're using an iPhone, take a live image. And a live image is actually going to record a short piece of video. And then if that fish flops, you can then go through that frame by frame and if you can find the clearest picture and submit that as the main one, even save it as a separate photo and then send that in. So it's one of these things where you kind of have to cast a wide net with your image. Capture as many images as you can quickly. And then if this fish is going to flop, it's going to flop. You got to do what you got to do. The last one is this. And who was it? Was it? I think it was Joe Brown that made the suggestion. Or maybe it might have been you, Sean, actually, about setting the fish on the board and taking your hand and covering its eye that's facing up toward the light.
Yes. And you know what? I'd like to add to that.
Go for it.
I was laughing when they said this, and then I've tried it since, and it actually fucking works. So
it does.
I'm not taking credit for this. I'm going to give credit to Ken Wood and John Ferreira and whoever they heard it from, because I was listening to the breakdown a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Very, very disgusting, but useful piece of information.
Okay.
You know what calms a fish down, a bass down, more than covering its eyes?
Medical grade cannabis.
Pressing on its anus with your thumb. Do not sodomize. Do not sodomize your bass. They apparently like a light rim job. It is not a joke.
Wait,
that 21-25 and I got intimate yesterday, and she calmed right the fuck down.
You just kind of tickled the taint a little bit?
You just press a little bit. I mean, look at, dude, I'm showing on, like, I'm pressing with this whole length of my thumb.
Yep.
I'm not doing this.
You're not throwing one of these in?
I am not giving the bass the shocker. I don't know what other hole there is to shock on a bass. Just put your thumb over its anus and press. That fish will relax because
really,
I don't know why it does. I'm not kidding. I was laughing when John and Ken said it, and then I applied the method myself, and it is
the fish is thinking,
joke.
Well, hey sailor, how you doing?
Yeah. Well, I'm relaxed
shit.
now. Yeah, it's fucked up. So never mind the eyeball thing. Jesus. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to stick with the eyeball. Don't rectally blast your fish. This is what I have found is, if you cover up the fish's eye and they can't see it. I've seen the same thing with like other animals too. And they're like, cover up its head so it can't see what's going on, and it calms right the fuck down.
Well, here's the problem. You eventually have to take your hand off its eye to take the picture. Right?
There's a coordination where you slide that hand over as you're taking the picture. And this is where that live photo helps a lot. Because it's one motion. You move your hand over and click the shutter. My thing is, I think if you're fingering your fish's asshole and you're trying to snap a pic of that, first off, there's got to be some crimes happening. I think you risk yourself with that.
Check this out. All the pictures I took yesterday of all the fish that I submitted, not one of them was I continuing that fucking vile act.
Of course.
They calm down. They get the message.
But
you can actually move your hand away.
My wonder is, obviously you take your hand away when you're taking the picture. I don't know, man.
But Wild. They stay calm. It's
really
like a calming button. Yeah, it's weird. Whereas I've had fish where I've covered up their eyes. Next thing you know, you take your hand off their eyes and they're flopping everywhere again. This is like they mean business now. They're not covering up my eyes. They're touching my butt.
Yeah, I don't know. Wow.
You feel their whole body relax. It's weird. So I'm not taking credit for it. I'm only applying the information I learned on the breakdown. If you're interested in listening to Ken and John talk about fingering bass ass, go right ahead. It's there.
So my advice to the listeners is, if you're not comfortable with fingering a bass ass, then what you can try is just covering the eye, blocking the light from that fish. All you have to do is then real quickly move your hand right past the gill plate and then snap that picture. It takes a second. The odds that they're going to flop around, it's still possible. Such if you're on the bank, you're going to end up with dirty fish in the next picture. That's what happens when you're playing our tournament from the bank. When you're in a kayak or a boat, you want to take whatever precautions you can so it doesn't drop into the water.
Well, little note here. All this talk about this horrible act that occurred apparently occurs relatively frequently in tournaments.
I don't know what these guys out east are doing, but Jesus.
Not one of our jigheads has made a comment about this. I'm a little concerned.
Not at all. No.
So, that's what you can do. But problems we've seen or issues we've seen, which we've contacted everyone about, open mouths on bass.
Open mouths is a big one. Yeah.
Open mouths. I did have to, if it's open more than a quarter inch, I have to knock an inch off it. I had to do that today. I felt bad about it, but it's clearly in the rules. That's again, getting back to reading the rules. What else have we seen this tournament? It's been pretty clean.
This tournament's been really clean. There's been very little this tournament. I actually think this has been really smooth. Another tip for opening mouths is to elevate the back end of your board so that fish is pushed down. That helps out a lot. Much easier to do when you're in a kayak, but if you're fishing from the bank and you want to get a good measurement that way, I even did this when I measured my fish in September from the boat in Champlain. I took a water bottle and I just lifted up on that one side, and then it just puts just enough force to push down on that fish where you're able to get a good picture. Boom, no problem.
Yep. Identifiers has really been, I think, the biggest issue, and I think we solved that problem.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, couple open mouths. I will never deduct for any fish that has sharp teeth. Having an open mouth, that's not even on the.
Yep.
I actually think I put that in the rules too.
Yep.
Where don't worry about that. If you're securing a fish, it's always safety first. Now, a largemouth or a smallmouth or a bluegill is not going to have teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes trout do, so I don't really worry about trout. They're not like super stabby, but you get a big enough like brown or a big enough rainbow, and you can get.
They can cut you up.
Cut up a little bit.
Yeah.
Identifiers. Let me think. What else are we running through here? Identifiers, open mouths. Man, that's really been it. This has really been a clean tournament. I'm glad everybody's been participating, and we'll cover it more in segment 2 about what has been going on. I'm not going to divulge the information we got the other day that made our jobs easier. We're going to wait till that is actually ready to go.
We're going to wait until things are ready to go live. But we'll just leave it like this. Guys, for future tournaments, there is a feature that I think you're going to really enjoy.
We are, what's the term, beta testing it right now.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's you and I doing it, and their Fishing Chaos is working diligently on everyone's behalf to get this knocked out. And if it gets completed, hopefully by the end of this tournament, but I doubt it. I'm not worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be up for chronic trips next month, and you'll see some shit in action. But I don't know, Bobby. I think that's all I got for now. You got anything?
That, I think, covers everything that I have. I don't remember. I don't think there's anything else that I need to necessarily go over, but freaking bananas, dude.
Let's take a fucking break.
Let's take a break, guys. We're going to come back with our second segment. We've got Just the Tip, where we're talking about local forage, knowing what the hell's around you. And then in FTG, we've got some ramp antics, from what I understand. I haven't heard any of this yet, so this is all news to me. And this all comes from our good friend Derek from Wrangling Baits and from Three Bells Outfitters. Guys, we will be right back after this quick message. Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce we're being supported by Old Glory Outdoors. They're a veteran-owned company that carries fishing and hunting gear. Plus, they're highly active in supporting veteran organizations and charities. Old Glory is an authorized dealer of favorite rods, FX rods, Guggen baits, X-Zone lures, Sixth Sense, and many more. There's a brick-and-mortar store located in East Brookfield, Massachusetts, but you can also order online at oldgloryoutdoors.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states, or order online and pick up at the store. When you order, use the promo code JIGS and Bigs, and you'll save 10% off your complete order. Plus, you'll help support the show. Make sure to check out the apparel line called OGO Gear while you're there. Old Glory Outdoors believes in the slogan, "Start 'em young," to keep kids away from screens and enjoying nature. They've got a full array of live bait too. Check out oldgloryoutdoors.com and use the promo code JIGS and Bigs. Save some money and gear up now.
Bobby and Sean now have a special presentation for us all. They'd like to give everyone just the tip.
You're damn right there, Howard. You are damn right. This week's Just the Tip is we're getting down to with nature and science in a way, and all the knowing your surroundings, what the hell you're doing, So Sean's going to talk about forage.
We're going to talk about it because it's particularly in the forefront of my mind after this weekend.
Yep.
We went out and up here in the Northeast, we have yellow perch everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. They're fucking everywhere. Every body of water has yellow perch. I'm trying to think. I think every body of water has bluegills too, or some sort of sunfish, but we always have yellow perch everywhere. And with them being a cold water species, they're out doing they're spawning and pre-spawning and feeding up while all the other fish are just trying to huddle together for warmth.
Yeah.
So they're active and they're moving around. And as we know, any animal species, mammal, fucking reptile, fish, vegetable, every species, when they're in the breeding mood, they are not thinking. They're all thinking with their junk.
Yeah,
and that's why you shoot deer when they're rutting.
Yep.
That's why you catch your heaviest bass of the year when they're getting ready to get on beds, because they're feeding indiscriminately.
Yeah.
Their guard is down because they're thinking about reproduction.
Yep.
So when the perch are out doing their thing, well, the bass are just starting to warm up a little bit, especially those big bass. And they're like, this perch over there fattening up, look mighty tasty. So I target bass that are feeding on perch. Now, the perch pattern, as we know, it's a dark back with some stripes, some vertical stripes.
Yep.
And then that usually kind of goes to a green and then either a white or a yellow. Sometimes there's some really bright, or their fins are orange. Sometimes they're red.
Yep.
So there's red and orange in there. And the first perch pattern lure that I ever came across that I found really caught fish for me was a floating Rapala, the original perch pattern. They since have like 2 or 3 more. There's a glass perch. There's a one they call yellow perch, and it's really, really yellow. Doesn't have much orange in it at all, or it's not very dark. It's kind of lighter. And even the Strike King was the first company I know that had this skirt color. Since then, Seaman uses it too. They call it bluegill. It to me, it looks more like a yellow perch because of the dark, the stripes, and then the bellies are orange and white. I use that pattern almost exclusively in cold weather.
Yep.
And if I can't find a lure in that particular pattern, I look for something in Fire Tiger because it's almost
close.
there.
Yeah.
It's close.
I was going to say Fire Tiger's a good second if you're looking for perch.
Yep.
You know.
So when you're targeting, now that's us up in the Northeast. It's cold. The perch are active. They're reproducing. They're not thinking about self-defense. They're thinking about eating and making more perch.
Sure.
And usually when they're doing that in 40 to 45 degree water, if not even cooler, right after ice out. After that is when you see the crawfish start moving in from their deep little hibernation haunts. They move shallow, and then they start doing their stupid shit, and then the bass eat them. So it goes perch and crawfish up here. That's what I always pattern, or those are the patterns that I go after first, because that's our local forage at this time of year. And then in the summer, you're looking at the bluegills breeding, so the bass are going after them. They're always going to be opportunistic with perch, with fucking mice, with dragonflies, with shiners. If you're lucky enough to have another spring pattern, this is out on the coastal areas, when you have fish that are coming from the ocean to breed in fresh water. So alewives. Yeah. For us, it's Atlantic. There's Atlantic shad. These things, paying attention to that local forage and knowing what's coming up at what time of the year, it's telling you what the fish are going to be looking for. Yep. So if you're in, let's use the Connecticut River as a great example. If you're in the Connecticut River and the shad are running, you can see guys out throwing shad darts, which if you're not from New England or anywhere else that has shad runs, shad darts are they're literally jig heads. Some of them have a tuft of like a bucktail with them, but they're tiny, tiny jig heads. And for whatever reason, shad eat them while they're running. They'll hit them. They look like absolutely nothing in nature, but shad will attack them. But shad, some of them get big, some of them aren't. Some of them a pike or a big bass could take down. And that's the kind of food they're looking for at this time of year when they're running. So why would you could throw something when the shad are running that looks like a perch. I'm sure a bass would be opportunistic and hit it. Yeah. But the bigger ones are knowing that where their food source is. I mean, we've heard numerous stories of trout-stocked lakes where the only time you'll see some big bass will expose themselves is when those trout get dumped in, because they know those trout are shallow and incredibly stupid. Yeah. And they will come up and
easy prey.
So know what's in each lake. We're lucky in Massachusetts. We have the DCR, the Department of Conservation Resources, and they give us all this information. And they say, hey, these species are in here. So you're looking at a lake, it'll say this lake contains largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, northern pike, chain pickerel, and then it'll even say the bait fish. It'll say golden shiners, banded killifish. You're seeing the food chain.
They're basically telling you what's in there so that you know what the forage is.
Yes,
for the larger predators.
Yep, and I love this one. This is my favorite line when I look at, especially some of the bigger bodies of water. This body contains a breeding population of landlocked alewives. That is my favorite thing to read, because then I shift gears and do what I do on lakes that have alewives and river herring that come up to breed in the spring. Yep. But those fish are in there year round. Yeah. So there's the information's there. Every lake has crawfish. Pick up a rock in the summer and see if there's crawfish under there and see what color it is. That'll tell you what to throw. They're going to be a little reddish in the spring. Maybe throw red when the crawfish start moving in. Yeah. It really becomes dabbling in wildlife biology at this point. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Make yourself a better angler. There's always going to be that bite you get when you throw something, a color, a shape, the fish haven't seen. Yep. Then they have to think about it and bite or not. But when they see something that's familiar and they have seen and eaten perch or alewives or golden shiners that have been hurt, and then you throw a jerkbait that's wobbling along that looks like a hurt golden shiner or a hurt alewife, you don't have to do as much convincing.
They're going to smash it. Yeah.
Well, in theory, yeah. I mean, like I said, I caught fish. All those fish I caught this weekend was 17 fish. All of them, I caught 4 on, I got to give credit here. I got 4 of them out of the 17, all of them largemouth on a bladed jig that I had Matt Thayer custom make for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I sent him the pictures and said, thanks, man. It was, I got 2 16 inchers out of that. Obviously, they got called out with the 17, 18, and the 21.
Well, yeah.
but they were there. They were on the board. For a time, I was like, I am so glad that I asked Matt to paint this for me. And then the rest of my fish all came on a jerkbait, and it was all perch colored. So it's not a secret. I mean, if there's...
Oh, no, definitely not. And, I mean, the thing is that it's more or less like there's interpretation that needs to come into play here. Like last year, there was a specific color of Bill Lewis rattle trap that I was throwing. Mm-hmm. And it's a craw pattern. But I forget the exact name of it. It was like Crazy Craw or like Angry Craw or something like that. But the coloration between the top and the bottom, it was like a dark green, like a green pumpkin to like an orange transition.
Yep.
And the reason why I picked that was because it had like a perch type quality, because in a craw pattern, you've got those vertical lines.
Yep.
So, and that's part of the reason why I kind of attributed my success last season. Now, I have not been able to get that color in stock since I last tried to order like a half dozen more. So I started just looking for alternatives. But it's like, widen your scope a little bit and get an idea of like the bait fish that are in the waters that you're looking for. You're always going to have situations where like you're going to, they'll hit something that's white, because fish also change colors depending on their light, what's available for light,
water temp,
clarity. And that's another thing too. Like, so Sean, this is more of a question for you. I've like in the last couple of years, I've taken a little bit of a shift to focus more on throwing natural presentations. Mainly because I don't fish a whole lot of water that's like zero visibility. You know what I mean? Like anything like a foot or so, I'm probably going with like a natural presentation, because that's how they're going to see that forage in that water. You know what I mean? So like a good change for me would be like, instead of, fishing like a bluegill swim jig or a perch swim jig up here, I might switch to a chatterbait or a rattle trap, something that vibrates a bit more, that for it to get, detected, When it comes to getting crazy with color, how do you work out that, like with different visibility? Like if you want to keep that natural presentation, you want to match the forage that they're actually eating. Like what is it that you're taking into consideration there? Or is it two totally separate schools of thought?
No, actually, I'll go into that.
Okay.
I'm going to write this down just so I don't fuck it up. I'm going to give everybody some good information here, right?
Okay.
So remember I said I had that new Feel Free tackle bag box thing that holds 3,700 boxes. Mm-hmm. So I have a terminal box. So that's number one, right? Mm-hmm. I have a jerkbait box. I have color number one. I'm going to leave that alone for a second. All right. I have color number two. Those are, I'll get into that in a second. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have a top water box. I have a crankbait box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have one labeled miscellaneous. And you know what that is?
Shit with jigs or shit with skirts.
What?
Shit with skirts.
No, the miscellaneous box is just like stuff I need to keep handy, like some reel repair stuff and some.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like garlic markers. I got a bunch of those on sale years ago. I keep them with me for 1 or 2 colors. The jerkbait box is pretty simple. I keep mainly 2 colors in jerkbaits.
All right.
And this is all of them, floating or otherwise. Just 2 colors. This is what for me works in the Northeast, I feel. I keep something that looks like a perch, and I keep something that looks like a shiner. In this case, I've been enamored lately with blue back and like white or silver sides. So it can be shiny, or it can be like a matte white. Mm-hmm. Generally, almost everything's in a 110 size, but I try to keep 90s when I can. So that's box 1, 2 colors. That's it. That's it. 2 colors in that box. In my top water box, I kind of have a variety of stuff, but I generally have, I've had some luck. You ever seen those live target live bluegills? They look like walking frogs, but I keep a few of those in a couple different colors. Generally, I forget the name of the color. It's lifelike, so it's not anything. It's not like a fire tiger or anything. It looks like a bluegill.
Yeah, it looks like a real bluegill. Yeah.
Yep. And then we've talked about my teckle frogs. I keep a couple different colors in those.
Yep.
A light one and a dark one, really, because they've lasted forever. But I do keep extra tails with those because I have had some tails get ripped off. And then just for more nostalgia, and this is the only thing I really carry around with me that is so much of a kitchen sink. I haven't thrown one in so long, but I really grew up. It was the first lure that needed technique, I felt, and I had to learn it. And I keep a few with me as Zara Spooks.
Oh yeah.
I keep a couple in bone.
Yep.
You know, again, top
Light
water,
and dark, right?
White and dark. That's all you really need. Whatever you want to do, whether it's black, brown, dark green.
Yep.
Fucking what else?
Do you get into when it comes to that kind of stuff? Do you fool around with the translucent ones at all, like the clear ones?
No, I only keep. I think I have a shiny one, a bone one, and maybe one that looks like a frog. I don't know. That's about it. Like a lifelike frog. Like they make one that's called bullfrog, I think.
Yep.
So those in my crankbait box. My crankbaits are generally. I try to keep them in perch. I try to keep them in bluegill.
Yep.
Some I keep in a crawfish, and if I can find something I feel looks like an alewife, that's it. I keep four colors.
Yep.
All right. And then the last two boxes get a little specialty. So everything with a skirt on it. So that means jigs, swim jigs, spinner baits,
chatterbaits.
Yep. One box I have that mimics alewife and perch, and one box I have that's incredibly dark. So black and blue with some highlights.
Gotcha.
That's all I use.
Yeah.
That covers everything, I feel.
Yeah.
Again, that's all my non-plastics. Plastics are a little different. I have some that complement that.
Yep.
That complement those things. Like, so if I'm throwing a perch colored bladed jig like it was the other day, I'm not throwing a black and blue trailer on there. I'm doing something that looks like the perch.
Yep.
I try to mimic the color I throw with the skirt with the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm not one of the, I know that the trend is out there of, hey, you've got a
contrasting it against something. Yeah.
I don't do that.
I do think that there's something valid to that, but I think that there's a time and a place. Like a good example is when you're throwing, in like really, really, really stained water, with a specific color that maybe purple's going to work really great here. Yeah. You might, add, like a June bug craw to a bluegill swim jig, something like that, just to kind of get like a little something. And also same thing, like you're talking about like garlic markers and things like that. Like I am a big fan of using dip style scents like JJ's Magic. In fact, just Saturday, I over tightened the cap, and then when I went to go re-dip a new plastic in there, I opened it up and I was all over my hands covered in chartreuse, and I reeked like a terrible plate of scampi.
Yes.
So
yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the other place I would think of using some weird contrasting thing would be someplace that really gets a lot of pressure, just again to show them something different.
Yeah, to stand out. That makes sense.
But that's it. That's all the tackle I carry as far as, jigs, skirted items and hard baits. I don't need to carry a lot. I tend to go more natural, with one color exception being the dark colors that I use. There's nothing really that natural. That's just more of a dirty water or nighttime thing for me. And I found some colors that work that are really dark and variations, which I'm not going to get too into, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, I know what's around here. I know that 90%, if not more, of my fishing throughout the year is going to be in New England or, in Minnesota or down in the mid-Atlantic. And I'm pretty sure there's yellow perch to where I'll be fishing this year. I think I'm going to the Carolinas and Maryland a couple times. So,
and the other thing too is like, you got to look at, not every body of water that you're going to fish in America is going to have shad as the primary forage, and I know that there's a lot of anglers that might struggle with that when you get into an area like where we don't have tons of shad. You can get away with using shad patterns like in the river where you have that migratory period, the runs.
But those are completely
different. They're different. I understand that for sure. But like the color, will line up there. I mean, there's
Some will, some won't. I mean, you should see some of the shad species down south. They don't look anything like.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of the bait fish and like a crankbait, and they're like exactly the same. So it's like you see it all the time, or even a jig, where you'll see a skirt pattern that just happens to match exactly. But you will find bluegill almost everywhere.
Everywhere, bluegill.
You
everywhere.
will find bluegill almost everywhere.
If you can find, you know what? If you're going to be fishing anywhere in the U.S., carry something that looks like a bluegill.
Yeah.
Whether it's crankbait or a swim jig, find something that matches a bluegill in your area, and they're all sorts of different colors. You can go to a lake in Oklahoma, like I've been, and you pull those bluegill out, and their bodies are almost like translucent, and they'll have this purple shimmer to them.
Yep.
So it's almost like a white with a purple.
Yep.
But you come up here and there's such variety in the different. I mean, some of the species of sunfish that we have in the Northeast, people in other countries actually use as aquarium, like tropical fish to them, because they're really beautiful. I mean, really think about it. What a pumpkin seed looks like, a male pumpkin seed during breeding season. They look like pastel paintings. They're gorgeous fish.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah, we eat them.
They're plentiful, I mean, it's like but that was the point that I'm trying to make, is like if you're concerned about where you are, bluegill is a great go-to.
Yeah,
because
bluegill's a really good one. Yeah.
You've got, they're pretty much going to be all over the place, so it's a good place to shimmy, to utilize that as a crutch if need be. If you're like, what the hell am I going to throw? Well, like, there's bluegill here. I have seen bluegill up shallow, like all over the place.
Yeah. Another good one too. If you're out bass fishing, right? You know where you're going to have everywhere?
Baby bass.
Yes. Yeah. So there's another good one. Start there. I mean, that's really it. I mean, know what's in each body of water. If you're not in a state that provides that information for you, you're just going to have to do the homework on yourself, on your own.
Yeah.
Get out there, fish, see what's in there. If you see frogs jumping around, maybe throw something that looks like a frog. If you see, if you're like me, and I related the story at some point in the past, when I came home from fishing out on the Cape, and it was winter time, it was December.
Yeah.
And I caught a couple of largemouth for food, and there was a horrible stink, and I cut one open and it had a mouse in it. And that was not the first nor the last mouse I'd found in a bass from that lake. So they're obviously feeding. There's some sort of a pattern on mice there. Right?
I mean, that's the thing. When it comes to bass, they are savages, and they have these brains that tell them to just react when something's by them. And especially if it's moving by at a quick pace, that's a split-second reaction. It's not even a thought. It's just a reaction. So, that's why you get into these, in some cases, it might not even necessarily be a pattern, What was I think it was one of Becca's videos. She had gone out fishing for trout on opening day. And she was cleaning her catch and was doing a catch and cook. And she was just like, I can't believe some of the things that I found in this trout's stomach.
Oh, yeah.
Like I want to say there was a Senko in there.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. You know what I mean? Like crazy stuff. So
bottom line, know your environment that you're fishing, know what's in there, and know what the bass could be eating. And you will probably have some success if you match your offerings to what's in there.
Get nerdy with it, guys. My next question for you, Sean, is this. Are you ready?
I'm always ready.
Well, ladies and gents, we got a good FTG submission. This week, we got a message from our good friend Derek Artioli over at Three Bells Outfitters and from Wranglin' Baits. Apparently, there have been some antics or some... I don't know how else to describe it, but there was some drama of sorts at a local ramp, and we're going to hear all about that. And then Sean and I will jump in and give our 2 cents if there's anything at all. Let's get.
Well, Bobby, this is more of a reaction video for you because I was relayed this story yesterday.
Oh, you already know.
At a parking lot at a Stop and Shop in Cromwell, Connecticut. There you go, Cromwell. Okay. Shout out to you. You got a hell of a Stop and Shop.
All right. Well, Sean stopped and shopped. I'm going to get, you're going to get my reaction to this. Here we go.
What's going on, Sean and Bobby? So on Friday, I was headed back to the ramp after I got done testing out the new Bixby that we got at Three Bells. And I see some guy who's got a trailer trying to move around, but he's acting all weird. And he's like kind of back and forward and reverse. And he's like right next to my car. So I'm watching from the water. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And I see he's got a kayak on the back, but his kayak's completely set up. Like, he's got outriggers on it, his rods are on it, whole 9 yards. And I'm thinking either this guy had to have driven here with everything attached to his kayak, and like, he can't even drive straight with this thing. He can't make a turn. Next thing I know, he's made like 20 turns to come down the ramp, and he's almost jackknifed it a couple times. He's almost hit my car a few times. And I'm just sitting here watching at this point. I'm not even getting out of the water. And he finally comes down the ramp, and he's all fucked up, just unbelievably fucked up. And he misses the side of the ramp, and his car is now off the ramp in the water, essentially. And he's jackknifed his trailer so bad that he's now blocking the entire ramp with a little, like, 12-foot kayak trailer. And the kayak's above the water still, and he has to get out of his car, come into the water, undo his entire kayak, and then pushed it off. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. The dude took up the entire ramp for something that could have taken 10 seconds if he was right next to the ramp and not have to take up the whole thing. Fuck that guy.
Wow. Was he wasted?
No, Derek said he was an older guy. So here's where I had asked some questions to make sure this was a candidate, right?
Yeah.
Like, not like this is an old guy we're just making fun of.
Yeah, exactly.
So Derek had said that, number one, when he said there were outriggers,
Yep.
they were fucking deployed while this guy was driving.
Oh, they were out. Like they weren't just installed.
No, they were sticking out while this guy was driving. And I made a face and look at Derek and I said, wait a minute. They were out further than the width of his vehicle. And Derek said, absolutely. This guy was a hazard driving around. Yeah. So that's one thing. Now, the other thing was he had a trailer.
You're not going to catch anything on 84. Jesus.
Yes. Fuck 84, by the way.
Fuck 84.
What this guy had on his trailer was his boat, and he had to get it in the water because apparently, I guess he had a couple words with Derek, polite stuff. Derek's professional.
Yeah.
And he said something about not being able to physically get his kayak onto a cart and taking it into the water, right?
Okay. All right.
No problem, right? You figure he's just going to put his trailer into the water and let the kayak drift off, rope it down and tie it down,
then
and
pull
get
it
his
back
trailer
up
out of the water.
Yeah.
That would be the case if it wasn't a double-decker trailer and he had it on the top deck.
What? What was on the? Was there anything on the lower deck?
No, I don't think so.
What?
No, it was a tall trailer and he had it up at the top, and there was no way for him to get. He had to then go into the water knee or waist or fucking whatever deep, and then yank the thing off. I fucking have no idea.
So
I don't know.
I am a moron when it comes to the kayak trailer relationship, launch, all of it. Like, you know what I mean? But even at my like infant-minded level of knowledge of this, there's no way I would know. Oh my God.
I've seen you back a trailer down several times to dump your kayak in. Not once have I thought, I do a podcast with this moron.
He's not going to make it. Yeah.
He's not going to make it. Oh my God. We need to call an ambulance. I've never thought that. It sounds like this guy had some major fucking issues because Derek had told me he was off the ramp with his car and the trailer was jackknifed into an L parallel with the fucking water, but his car was perpendicular to the water. That's how bad
insane.
This was. Yeah, he said it took him 20 times. So
fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy hard. No, you know what, folks? Everything you heard in just the tip. No, don't finger your bass in the ass. This guy is the guy who needs to calm the fuck down. He needs to calm down with that trailer.
Take it from Bobby Roast Beef.
Take it from Bobby Roast Beef.
When you find a guy who can't back a boat down a trailer,
go sodomize him.
Finger his ass. We are obviously just kidding. We do not want anyone fingered without their consent. If he likes it, go for it.
Yeah, hey.
He's into that shit, whatever. Wash your hands when you're done. That's
Exactly.
totally
Hey, maybe he collects trains. I don't know. I'm not here to pass judgment. That's unbelievable, man.
cool. I mean, look, when I heard
Like
the story,
top level outriggers out. Was he like trying to catch like salmon?
I don't know. When I heard this,
Oh my God.
obviously we have a high or low water mark as you want to,
Yeah.
consider it with what happened with Loaded Potato at the Otis boat launch last year with the idiot washing his car. That's
true.
that is really our benchmark for
Yeah.
how bad can a ramp incident be. This one's pretty bad.
This one's up there. It's not the worst.
It's not the worst.
Yeah,
it's not
but
a
it's
car
up there.
wash while people are waiting, but it's pretty fucking bad.
At the car wash, yeah.
Yeah. So fuck that guy.
Fuck him. Wow.
Let's
That
go.
is rough, dude.
We have a wedding on Friday. You and I will both be attendance at. You'll be working it. I'll be getting wasted.
Yeah.
I think that's a great segue into some Dothraki wedding music. What do you think?
I think that's a fantastic segue for some Dothraki wedding music. Folks, are you ready for this? Let's go ahead and do it.
There's the drums. All right. We have a tournament going on currently with the Jigs and Bigs fucking multi-species nationwide event. We are seeing all sorts of entries. We're seeing carp. We're seeing pike. This has been awesome. So, and Bobby's getting Bobby's cutting his teeth on judging officially, not just driving around neighborhoods and judging, but actually judging with a purpose.
Oh, yeah.
So you're loving this. So we have, as of today, we have 127 entries. We're up to 27 anglers, which is awesome. So that means we're paying out, 0 to 10? We're paying out 3 spots still. And if we get up to 29, that's the max people are going to get.
Yeah.
The minute we cross into 30, it pays out a 4th spot. So where we're at right now, Bobby, I'm going to go into our little beta testing area here on our thing. You guys can't see this because me and Bobby are special, but we are able to look and see who's actually winning by points. It's not a feature that's up yet because they're still working on it, but I did verify that what we're seeing is good for now.
Is accurate.
Yes. So let me dig that up. Bobby, talk about the tournament while I'm digging this up. I'm unprepared. I'm a piece of shit.
So we have a good amount of anglers out there. Some folks are out there just putting the hammer down when it comes to catching fish. And we have a number of folks that have yet to enter a single fish, and I'm a little surprised at that. But it's only halfway through the month right now. Anything can happen, and a little bit of words of advice when we go through these scores right here. Realize this: that one good fish, not even a good day, but one good fish in any of these categories can change things for you significantly. In fact, one fish in a category that doesn't have any entries is worth significantly more than any other fish in any of those other categories that isn't the new lunker for that spot. So, don't get discouraged.
Bobby, let me ask you a question.
Fire away.
All right, I have the information up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the combined statistics here, or who's in first place, etc. If you're in New England,
Yes.
let's just take the New England anglers. We seem to have a lot of New England anglers.
There's a
out there,
big
right?
group of New England anglers, definitely.
Correct. So I'm looking at 6 species that should not be too difficult to catch, right?
Yep.
Crappie are pretty easy to catch around here, right?
Yeah, for the most part they are.
Yellow perch, pretty easy, right?
Yep, very easy.
Largemouth would probably be the easiest.
That is definitely, I think, the easiest. That or trout.
Yep. Smallmouth. Ooh, let me put trout in there. Smallmouth, smallmouth, you might have to look for them, but if you get a good place where they're biting, they're pretty easy to catch. All you need is one. A
Yep.
pickerel, right?
Yeah.
Pickerel are real easy to catch.
Wicked easy.
Bluegill are pretty easy to catch, right?
Yep.
And then you said the trout, especially now since they've stocked. Hell, I caught a trout accidentally yesterday, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's 7 species: crappie, perch, largemouth, smallmouth, pickerel, bluegill, and trout. You don't even have to catch the biggest in any category. If somebody were to catch one each of those 7,
Any size.
Any size.
Yeah.
8 inches or bigger, they're automatically in second place and they get money for it.
Yeah.
Right now, if they finish the tournament that way. Now, then all you have to do is catch one fish and put it in any 5. Now you're fully in second place.
Yep.
Like, this is how easy this is. You don't have to overthink this. Go out and catch fish and catch as many as you can, as many different species. Use a bobber with worms to get those panfish species.
Definitely.
Use a shiner with worms to get the bigger ones. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Catch some fish.
Yeah.
This is that easy. Go out and catch fish. Like, that's it. Like yesterday, I wasn't trying to catch anything but largemouth and smallmouth, and I caught 1, 2, 3, 4. I caught 4 of those. And I'm a bass fisherman. It's just bycatch.
Yeah.
You know? Get out and catch fish. So, here's where we're at. I'm going to do, should I do 3rd place or should I include 4th place? Because we have ties for both. I'll do 4th place.
I would do 4th place just to put it in there. We let people know about where they stand.
Yeah, so this is how easy things are, guys. Right now, the tournament's we're about just over half over with this tournament.
Yeah, just over.
One day on the water can get you going. So in 4th place, we have a 3-way tie. We have Sean Carrier, Nelson, and Joe the Bearded Angler.
Yep. In 4th place. All in 4th place.
Yeah, with 3 points. It means they've caught either 2 species or 3 species if they threw in on the NE5.
Yep.
That's 4th place tied. In 3rd place, we have another 3-way tie. Ryan Fisher, Derek Artioli, and Ramon. They have 4 points. Yeah, they have 4 points. And I'm looking at Ryan Fisher, just clicking on it, right?
Yep.
Ryan has a largemouth turned in, a crappie turned in, a smallmouth, and he got 1 point for any 5.
Yep.
Okay, that's it. Derek has largemouth, crappie, stringer of any 5, and a pickerel. And Ramon has, Ramon's got the largest sunfish. There's a category leader.
Yeah.
He's got a crappie and a stringer of any 5. Ramon doesn't even have any bass turned in yet.
Yeah.
So he's got points on the board, waiting there. 2nd place, we have another tie. Dan Regan and Tim Jakes.
Oh, Tim tied in 2nd.
With 6 points. Again.
Oh, okay.
Neither of them has reached the 7 I just gave out as an example.
Yeah.
All right, 6 points each. 1st place. Well, here's where things get
interesting.
Normalized. Yeah, 1st place. By himself, 11 points with Jerry House.
Yeah.
All right. So Jerry's got the leading northern pike. He's got a largemouth.
Yep.
He's got all sorts of shit.
He's got a pickerel.
He's got his NE5 is in 2nd. Tim Jakes went past him on the NE5.
Yep.
He's got a bluegill, or excuse me, a red ear sunfish. So that's the sunfish category. I think he's winning the yellow perch. He's got a rainbow trout.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
we call him Jerry Multi-Species House for a reason.
Yep.
We do. It's not like we made that shit up.
He's got a big pickerel. I think he's winning that. So,
yeah.
Like, Jerry's got some big fish in here, but they're not. He's got a big crappie too.
So
they're not unbeatable. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. I think that if you look in these categories and you're like, okay, I'm in this multi-species, but maybe you catch a monster crappie, and you've just not only have you, picked up 2 points for yourself, but you've taken a point away from the leader there. So it's that much more of a win for you when you take the lunker of any of these categories. And your NE5, that is just a catch-all. Make sure that you fill that up with as many fish as you can, with as big as you can, to get up and over the top. Like if you're out catching, pickerel, big pickerel, or any pike or something, that's going to help you.
Yeah, so let's look at the math on this. We'll use Jerry as an example. I think he's listening. He'll probably be happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
So Jerry's got 11 points. He's the only person who have turned in a northern pike. Good pike, over 20 inches, but not like it wasn't
not
40
unbeatable.
Pike.
Yeah.
So let's take who was in 2nd place there? Let's take Dan Regan. Dan goes out and decides he's going to go pike fishing for the day.
Yep.
And he gets a 25-incher, right? So Dan will go past Jerry and get 2 points. So he'll go from 6 to 8.
Yep.
Jerry will lose a point because he's lost the extra point for the bonus point for the biggest pike.
Yep.
So now Jerry's at 10. So that is that's a 3-point swing. So it goes from 11 to 6. to 8 to 10.
This is where it gets so exciting. And Jerry chimes in. He goes, yeah, went for smallmouth, got a pike.
Yep.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, you want to talk about a guy who knows how to work this multi-species platform. Like, Jerry gets on him, you know?
Yeah, Jerry gets it.
Definitely. And he's a great dude. Like, you guys, Jerry's a great dude. Like, you can't not love him.
You losing to Jerry is like, it's like doubly upsetting. It's like you lose to Jerry, you lost. You lost a contest. Everybody's a competitor. You want to win. But then you can't get angry at him because he's like the nicest guy in the world.
He's the best guy in the world.
Yeah. Like, so it's like, God damn it. I can't get angry at Jerry. He beat me. And then, the best part is, like, I see Jerry. We have a meetup place for anytime he wins things. So I do a handoff for prizes for him.
Sure.
And then one day he just shows up. We mentioned it on the show. He's like, I got something for you and Bobby. And he pulls out basically, an entire deer that we could have reassembled.
Pretty much.
With frozen venison. I'm like, are you shitting me? He goes, yeah, I had a good year. I'm like, thank you so much. So we've had venison, like, it's great. So Jerry, yeah, you're right. Jerry completely gets this strategy involved. And, if everybody got this, it's really fun. It's not a thinking thing of, I got to go out and get this one species. Just go out and fish, and your bycatch all catches.
Yeah.
We as largemouth and smallmouth fishermen, we go out and we throw lures that look like minnows.
Yeah.
Everything eats minnows.
It's true. If there is one thing that I would suggest to somebody going out there and looking to diversify what they're catching is look at the bodies of water that you're fishing and just, look at what the population is for different fish that are in there.
Yep.
One of the big things I think that helped me out last fall in a big way was going out and fishing where I had heard there was a terrible bass tournament because everybody kept catching all this other stuff. And, there were trout in there. There's tons of pickerel in there. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. In fact, that one trip out, I actually got my new PB rainbow and my PB chain pickerel. And that helped me avoid wearing any Limp Bizkit tire. So that was helpful. That was good.
True story.
Yeah, it's very true. That's all I cared about.
It's almost like you could research what fish are in what body of water while you're searching for what forage is in what body of water.
Yeah, that's true.
All coming around, baby.
Wow.
Holy fuck balls.
Right?
Yep.
Nobody's put a bowfin in yet or a snakehead.
No, but it's funny with all the contacts I have with MAKB and everybody who's involved, and we don't see a lot of the anglers come out of MAKB. I mean, we see Nate and Nelson and on occasion myself. I looked at the pictures that people were showing from the Potomac River KBF event the other day. I mean, Ken Wood could be in first place for this tournament. He caught a snakehead that was easily 3 feet long. It was enormous. It was unbelievable. It looked like that asshole that fuck that guy's pontoon outriggers.
Yes.
That's how big that fucking snakehead was. But like Ken's telling me all these.
It was bouncing around on I-84. Okay.
Yeah. Between listening to the last week's episode of the breakdown to see how they did.
Yep.
But Ken went out and caught largemouth, snakehead, which that's 2 points.
Yep.
I believe he said he caught crappie. He got some huge catfish, like big. That would have taken 2 points. Like Ken could be in the running for this.
Oh, definitely.
Just based on the Potomac River.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to jump in.
You know what? That would be a great time to jump in is when you're going and you're traveling and you're just like, I don't know what I'm going to catch. Wild.
Exactly. And with other parts of the country, like we saw last year with both Chronic Trips and Jigs and Bigs, where did I put up my big numbers for the NE5? I put them up in Minnesota because I was catching pike over 30 inches.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the NE5, you see people get to around 100 inches, and I was pushing 120 and 130 with those pike.
I did have a conversation with Emily Edge. Yep. She's the angler, multi-species, like just a guru, really, like that level in Wisconsin. And I'm like, God, I swear I've seen her catching fish in the last couple of weeks. I swear. I'm like, how come she's not putting anything in? And it's one of these things where she's like, yeah, I'm out fishing. I'm having a great time. And I completely forget to measure these fish. So that is if there's a challenge, that's the challenge. You just got to remember when you catch these fish that You know, you want to make sure to document, get good pictures to enter them in these tournaments. It's one more extra step, you know. The big thing is don't forget your board.
Now, is Emily a content creator of some sort?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is fucking
She owns
content
Real 'em
for
Angling Co.
everybody.
Yeah.
This is content for everybody.
Yep.
Every content creator. You're in a tournament that is not super high stakes.
Yeah.
Have a smile. Go out there. Hey, I got my board. I'm going to do this. Check this
Yep.
out. I'm in the Jigs and Bigs tournament. Whether you even say our name or not, we don't give a fuck. Go out there and just use this and say, hey,
It's
I'm
a great
measuring.
way.
I'm in a
yeah.
tournament. I got to measure this shit. Here's what I'm doing. Blah, blah, blah. People
You make
enjoy that.
content on any platform, and then you now have a 30-day window where all of your catches have this like element of drama that can keep your following engaged, you know? And I mean, it doesn't matter the species that you catch because everything's got some value. So,
Yeah.
you know, we should plan because our next one's going to be in June. We should plan a way, maybe with a special content creator ticket or something that's separate. That way we can track it, you know, and know like who's who. Then maybe we sort of work out some kind of a collab with some content creators, because I would love to get more people that are out, whether they're on Instagram just kind of sharing their adventure doing that, or they're out there making YouTube videos or something like that. I would love to see some more interactions that way. In fact, you know what? Maybe a collaboration isn't the way to go. Maybe the idea is to have this conversation with all the anglers and say, this is your opportunity to start building your content by utilizing this thing. Think of it as like, you know, you see these content creators that do like the MTB slams. They get the mystery tackle box or whatever their subscription box is, the 6 cent sack or whatever, and they go out and they try to catch fish on all these things. Well, you've seen that a million different times, but what if you utilize this as a platform and you're just like, yep, so this is what I'm doing. It gives you like that next level way to, you know, and then mention it to your subscribers and your followers to enter it as well. And then you get them commenting in your videos, working the algorithm.
I don't know. It seems pretty smart and straightforward to me. Let's see if we can get people
Dude, I
to
think
do
that's
it.
a great idea. Shit.
I mean, I think the biggest speed bump is the whole time we've been doing this for what? This is year 3 now.
Yeah.
Is seeing people pay to get into a tournament. Now
And
there's
not turn in
cash involved.
fish.
There's cash payouts. See them pay to get into a tournament and then not turn any fish in.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against people donating money to tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. I get it.
I just,
you know,
I don't
but
understand. That's me. I mean, if I'm in a tournament, I pay for it. There's very few I just donate money to.
And actually, you know, I think we might have stumbled on that little crossroads between tournament angler and content creator.
I know,
And where those two elements can actually kind of converge is in something like with what we're doing. That's really kind of would you look at the fucking like platform we've just given to everybody? Sean and I work so hard on this, trying to make it amazing, and we're offering it up to you guys.
And that's one of the things, like you and I, sometimes we have discussions.
Yeah.
Like I know you must do it too. Like I am more leaning towards the competitive side of angling because it's what I've wanted to do for years. And now I can actually do it.
Yeah.
And I'm dick deep in it. I love it.
Yep.
And you come from the
entire other side.
Yeah, the
Yep.
social media side. And
Yep.
we, thank God we're friends because we can have these conversations and not start yelling at each other and shit. But like, I
Well,
always
they
keep that
actually
in mind.
go somewhere. When we have this conversation, we like actually learn about what the other one has going on and how to like make it
Utilize
work.
It's, it's just amazing that there's so many. Like, God, I described it to somebody the other day.
Yep.
I met a one of my sister's friends' daughters, right?
Yep.
One of her friends' daughters. She's staying with their mother. I had to pick something up at the mother's house. Might as well congratulate this. My sister and her husband are in the process of adopting right now, and yeah,
Awesome.
I met what could be my future nephew, which sounds weird, but you know,
It's weird to say, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
They're in the fostering process and not to the adoption yet. So there's lines that have not been crossed yet, or signed on the dotted, etc. And I had to go pick up a crib and help her out because there was a quick turnaround on this. They got very late notice that they were going to be fostering a child. And the youngster who's in college, and we're getting old, people our age have college age kids now.
I do.
I know. I remember you said that
crazy.
on the Ellie interview.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, just off topic, there was so many fucking catchphrases that Ellie came up with.
Good.
That interview.
Oh.
I can't even. If you guys haven't listened to that, go back and listen to it. It's fucking nuts. But anyways, I go to pick up the crib. For my sister, and this youngster's there, and she's going to UMass, I believe. And I ask her what her major is, and she says marketing. And I start saying, I'm like, well, with what we're doing now, it's so funny. Like, there are competitive anglers out there that are so fucking good. You can drop these guys into a puddle and they will pull out a 21 or 22 inch bass.
Yeah.
And then they don't do anything, or they don't maximize their potential for getting eyes on products or getting eyes on groups that they're working with.
Yep.
And that's what I'm learning from you. Meanwhile, there's content creators out there that I don't know how to, this is just from my experience. You could definitely talk about this more, but I see like some of them are just, they're so the same as every other one. They're doing the same exact things. The originality's not there. They're content creators, and their fucking videos look great. Their audio's great. Their cutscenes are great. Everything's about it. But then the content itself, like the fishing, they could use work on. You know what I mean? Is that an apt description? I mean, you want to go deeper into that?
That's definitely a part of it. I mean, you for sure see like cookie cutter content creators that are like, hey, we're going to regurgitate exactly the same thing that somebody else does. But that's the thing. That's just nature. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, something starts working for somebody and they're like, hey, that's working, let's do it. And then it's just that like group mentality. I
guess what I'm getting at is there's anglers out there that could boost themselves and boost all of the collaborations and sponsors that they're involved with if they got better at the marketing side of things. And then there's the social media folks who are just the bomb at they're so good at marketing.
They're so good at it. Yeah.
And then you look at them fishing and they're fucking holding a spinning reel upside down. You know what I mean? Like, we try to bridge these worlds.
There are, and what we're doing is not really unique. I mean, it really isn't. I mean, it's not always this way, but there are, this has been happening a little bit. It seems to be getting more and more popular. Especially like in the big boat tournament world where you have like quote unquote names. But the reality of it is like what we're doing is a little bit different because we're, like within this sport, we're dealing with a real niche for a lot of, when you're talking about like tournament anglers and stuff, we're talking like kayak anglers, versus like big boat, like, that level. Necessarily the majority of the folks that we work with on a tournament level, they generally are competing in kayaks, and our, let's just pull the beef curtain totally off here. Our main focus in doing that is that it's approachable, like it's attainable for most people to be able to go and compete in a small plastic boat versus a giant piece of fiberglass, with a gas engine. Like it's the cost, the barrier to get into it is much infinitely lower. It's still expensive. Like these, I'm not saying that like, dropping $5,000 on a competition kayak is not a lot of money. That is a lot of money, but it's not $100,000.
Correct.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm just like, look at those numbers. Like, it's a whole lot easier to get up to that one level to be able to dip your foot into this and then do it. Now, there is something to be said as well, too, that like competitive fishing isn't for everybody. Some people just don't care about it, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Yep. I think that's the thing. I think, like, at the end of the day, I think that's ultimately what it gets down to. Like, if you're fishing for a myriad of reasons, each of them very personal to you. But if competition is, like, there are folks that there's a reason why, like, sports teams make the money that they do. Because there's enough people that have an interest in them for whatever reason. So those industries, like when you see like competitive fishing, like there's an audience there. You know, can you deliver a product to them that the general public wants to watch? Who knows? You know?
Yeah. But I got off track. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Yeah, I know we got way off track. When I was talking to my sister's friend's daughter,
Yep.
aunt's niece's nephew, cousin, with her being in marketing, I actually brought it up. I said, the one thing that I see from the competitive side is, and I brought this up before, I gave her the fucking underwear gnome analogy.
Yes.
It just, that's what a lot of anglers think. It's like, I catch big fish, I'm deserving of sponsorships. No, you have to do something to deserve those sponsorships. And guess what that means? It means time off the water, fucking around on Instagram and doing entertaining shit.
Yep.
Fucking around on YouTube, editing videos. All these things take up time, and that's going to take away from your fishing. So, like, I try to explain that, and sometimes people get it, and sometimes people don't. I just think the underwear gnomes is like the greatest example ever.
No, it really is, because it makes a lot of sense. You're like, nope, we're here. We want to get here. What's in between? Who cares?
Yeah, that's what it gets from the competitive side.
Yeah, you gotta. There's a road in there, you know, and maybe that road is collaboration. You know.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know how else to bridge these two worlds. You're right. You're exactly right. There's a lot of, YouTubers out there or social media folks that they're not going to compete. And I don't know how to, a competition on any level is going to give them content.
Yeah.
And it's different. You don't see a lot of people doing that with social media folks and marketing. We'll just call them marketing folks. I'm sick of saying social media. But
you know what? It's so funny, Sean, because like we've had this conversation over and over again with Wild Bill and the majority of Hooks at Hoodlum, pro staffers that we see regularly, where we talk about like that hot sauce challenge. You know what I mean? Like we talk about that video and we're just like, oh, it was amazing. It was to the point where like this summer we're working toward doing like a follow-up to that where, and it's crazy because at its core, that is a competition. You know, like it really is. It's nuts. It gives you something to root for, like as the listener, or as not even the listener. I'm thinking podcast world, but like as the viewer, you're watching this on YouTube. It's like you get some people that are out there and in a collaborative setting. Look at I'll use that outing specifically as a good example. You've got Delirious. And then you've got Bill and Andrew from Hooks at Hoodlums. You've got myself. And then we had Brutus as well, so that's 5. And was there 6? I think it was just 5. I think we had a team of 2.
It was 5. It was odd numbers.
Yeah, so we had a team of 2, and they got to leave 15 minutes early. That's what it was. So we had a team of 2 that had gone out. They went out 15 minutes early. Then the team of 3 went out, and we did our thing. And at the end of the day, it was all just fun and having a good time. But like there was a contest at hand, and that the way we did that contest was we utilized social media in that moment to track our progress with what we were doing, and it was pretty cool. Yeah, it really was pretty cool.
Honestly, I'm trying to get more on the other side of things from the competitive fishing, like with supporting Three Bells and their tournament trail this year.
Yep.
I asked Ken Wood, I said, hey man, you're involved in the Three Bells team. You want to go down to a couple of these. He's obviously traveling nationally with KBF. And I said, let's make a side bet.
Yep.
And my initial side bet was the loser wears the t-shirt of the winner's choice. I think I might've mentioned
this. That's right. Yeah. You told me about that.
I thought about it. I'm like, well, what the fuck good is that? Somebody's going to spend $20 and that t-shirt will get worn once. What good is that? Well, Ken and I are diet soda drinkers, both of us.
Yeah,
we're both pieces of shit for drinking diet soda.
Hey, no, I disagree. I love a good diet soda every once in a while.
Yep. He likes his Pepsi Zero. I'll drink a number of them. I'll drink Pepsi Zero, Coke Zero, whatever. I'll drink Diet Pepsi. And I called him back. I had to talk to him about something anyways. And I said, hey, listen, let's rework the Three Bells bet. And he said, to what? And I said, loser buys the winner a case of their diet soda of choice. Now it means something.
Yes,
that shit's gonna get drank. You know what I mean? He's like, I like it.
Yeah,
he goes, so
that's
we're gonna do that going forward. But something like that, and I'm sure that he'll have his camera on because he's been doing more and more YouTube
You know
stuff
what?
lately.
And his stuff is great.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of it. It's great.
Dude, did you see the video of that snakehead?
I don't know if I've seen the snakehead one.
That thing came out of the fucking water like a tarpon. It was awesome.
Oh, really? All right, I'll go check it
Yeah.
out. I'll make sure to check it out tonight.
Yeah, let me. I'll be nice. Hey, anybody who's watching, if you want to see some high stakes kayak tournament bass fishing with a giant snakehead thrown in, look at Ken Wood's Potomac River video on YouTube because that snakehead went fucking wild.
Yep.
Check that out. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'll probably bring a camera and there'll be shit talking as well because
Definitely.
Never mind the TBO stuff. That's over soda. There's fucking rules,
Yeah.
right? Fucking rules.
It's over soda. And for our listeners in the Midwest, that's over pop. And our listeners in Texas, they're talking
Coke.
Cokes.
Yeah, well, that's the whole South. Coke.
Exactly.
I know. We can't alienate anybody. I've lived everywhere. I had to learn that.
Is it really the entire South where it's all Cokes?
I think the first time I encountered it was Mississippi.
Really? Okay, because I've only ever known it as like a Texas thing, but
if we have Mississippi listeners, I apologize.
Yeah.
I thought it was there. I've been all over the goddamn country. I can't remember where I encountered once, but I do remember the story. I do remember what happened because I asked for a Coke and I meant it. And they said,
and they're like, "What kind?"
What kind? And I looked at them and I said, a Coke.
Classic.
And I'm like, what other kinds are there? And they're like, we got orange Coke, we got this Coke. I'm like, that's a Fanta. That's a fucking,
You're
ginger
like,
ale. What?
Can I get an Escobar vintage 1988?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. I was very confused. No, I wouldn't have said that because that was right when I started my military career.
I know.
I didn't think that was appropriate.
I am a piece of shit that would have made that joke, though.
So I had to learn that. I mean, I knew pop was in the Midwest. That was an easy one.
Yeah.
It was in the South where I learned that Coke was not a name brand. Coke is like Windex down there.
Yeah. And I
Coke
think
is like Kleenex down there.
isn't there like a old school like New England where it was all tonic? God, we went down a fucking rabbit hole. Like
what? This is part of the tournament section of the program.
This is part of the tournament section of the program.
Oh my God, I don't know. Let me wrap. Let's put a bow on this.
Yes.
Chronic trips. I am putting up for registration this week for May. That's all. The Dothraki wedding has ended in a drunken, bloody mess.
It really has. You guys are here before Butcher. This is what your wedding's going to be like.
I know. Hey, look it. You got to give me a signal. I'll come up if he really wants me to introduce him and his bride as Mr. and Mrs. Butcher. I will. I don't care.
We're gonna have some fun.
I'm going to be wasted and will not care.
No, we're gonna have some fun. It's gonna be good. Can't believe this show. It's freaking great.
We're idiots.
Well, hey, we try our best, guys. We'll be back right after this short message right here. We're going to put a bow on this show, wrap it all up, and then hopefully, if you're listening to this on Tuesday, you're going to go out and get some fishing done. We'll see you guys in a bit. Don't go too far. Jigs and Bigs is proud to announce that we're being supported by Three Bells Outfitters. Located in Smith Cove on the Niantic River, TBO is Connecticut's premier paddle sports retailer. They're a full service shop specializing in kayaks and paddleboards for everything from recreation to tournament fishing. Three Bells is an authorized dealer of Hobie, Jackson, Feel Free, Native, and Bonafide kayaks, as well as many paddleboard brands. Not sure of what kind of SUP or kayak you want? TBO offers free demos of all brands. Want to go for an extended test drive? They have a full-service rental facility on site. Three Bells also offers a complete rigging service for your kayak with such brands as Yak Attack, Yak Gear, Burley Pro, Yak Power, Torpedo, and more. The sky is the limit. You can visit Three Bells Outfitters in person or online at threebellsoutfitters.com. They ship anywhere in the lower 48 states or order online and pick up at the store. Can't make it to the store to pick up your kayak or worry the freight company might damage your purchase? Three Bells Outfitters offers a white glove delivery of kayaks within a 225-mile radius of their store at a rate less than typical freight carriers. They will deliver your kayak, set it up, and answer any questions you may have. Be sure to follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Don't forget to tell them Jigs and Biggs sent you. Three Bells Outfitters, because life is better on the water. Rolling.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, welcome back, guys. Jigs and Biggs. This is insane. Our jig heads right here, freaking dying.
Oh my God. All right, so let's pull back all the beef curtains right now.
All the way back.
We're gonna go ahead and pull the beef curtains back and thumb a bass's ass simultaneously.
Why not?
So we have a thing here where Bobby starts a cue where he goes, "All right, we're gonna start recording." He goes, "Rolling, 3, 2, 1." And for 2 years, every time he said "rolling," I have a flashback to the Guns N' Roses "Use Your Illusion" album.
We would have been like 14, 15 years old, man.
Oh, I "Use Your Illusion" 1 and 2. I listen to once a year, every year.
Yeah.
And usually in the summer. I think that's when I picked it up first time, summer or the fall.
Yep.
And I love those albums.
Yeah.
So on a song called "You Ain't the First," Izzy Stradlin, I believe, is talking. He goes, "Rolling. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3." So for 2 years, I've been wanting, every time that Bobby says "rolling," I want to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't. So we just had some fun with it and actually did it. And we're going to play out "You Ain't the First" tonight.
I love it.
Yeah, we're just idiots. So that's my little tick that I've been having for 2 years. And now we all understand.
That is freaking awesome, dude. I love it. You ain't the first.
Yep.
Oh, my goodness. What a freaking show. We went down a rabbit hole. We have, we normally mention, obviously, that we obviously have merch and stuff available for you guys if you want some good stuff from Jigs and Biggs, some shirts, some hats. We got hoodies available, all kinds of stuff like that. We've also got Bluetooth speakers. We gave away a second one of those this week, and I don't think we really kind of mentioned any of that, but we gave away a second one. Scott Rhodes was the winner of that one for the 100th fish.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about this.
Yes.
All right. So he put it on Facebook, so I'll talk about it now.
Okay.
Scott posted the details of what happened to him when he took that fucking chatterbait off his mouth in the A1
Oh,
tournament.
no.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you got anybody who's friends with Scott Rhodes on Facebook, it's rough of what happened. He went through hell that day and he fished through it. So I would have gone to a hospital, but
holy shit.
I hope Scott is feeling better, but he put that whole thing up and it was awful. Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
Dude, that is brutal, man.
Yeah. Congrats on the speaker, Scott. Sorry your teeth are fucked. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
This kind of reminds me of what is that movie from the 80s? Better Off Dead. Sorry about your mom, Ricky.
I still, to this day, cry hysterically laughing with the cheeseburger animation part when it turns into Eddie Van Halen.
I haven't watched that movie.
Jesus.
I might have been in middle school.
That's part of a 2 or 3. I think it's a 3 movie kind of not a trilogy, but it's loosely related because the same animator did all 3.
Yeah.
One of my particular favorite summertime movies, One Crazy Summer, is part 2 or 3. It's a final one.
Dude, One Crazy Summer, what a good fucking movie.
Dude, there's so many catchphrases in that. My brother and I will still, for no reason, if my parents are having a cookout and hot dogs are out,
Yeah.
Somebody will grab a hot dog. My brother and I look at ourselves and holding the hot dog and just go, chili dog, because that is in that movie. That
right.
One of the Murray brothers yells because John Cusack is sitting in the life raft going, no, I'm fine. I don't mind the oceans. My stomach doesn't get sick or anything. And then the Murray brother leans over with this disgusting heaped on chili dog and goes,
Hey, chili dog. Chili dog. How you doing, chili dog?
we are from the 80s. Oh, my God.
Oh, man, it's awful.
Yep.
It's awful. I would love to do like see, you're not a fan of It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
So It's Always Sunny is this great sort of TV show that kind of is I feel it reminds me a lot of Seinfeld, but it's just a lot more contemporary in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. But they do these things where they'll kind of like deviate from the typical standard platform that they have. Like they work in the bar and they do such and such, and they'll do like crazy things. Like there's one where they go on like a Christian cruise and they go on, in these different things. They did one episode where it was a huge spoof of like an 80s ski movie.
Yeah.
And it was
Better Off Dead.
It was hilarious. Like it was amazing. Just the cheese was wonderful. I would love to do like a Jigs and Biggs like camp movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like Jigs and Biggs meets like, I don't know, Friday the 13th and at the same time Meatballs.
I'm actually sending you something right now.
Oh goodness.
Because where this show's blown up. Go ahead and check your text messages and get that ready for the consumption. It's a 21-second clip starring a young Demi Moore and a young John Cusack.
All right.
Do it. Do it. Make it work, Bobby Roast Beef. Make it work,
I'm going to get to it. Keep going. You entertain the folks. Tell a story. I'm going to go ahead and make this work.
One Crazy Summer has another scene in it that makes me laugh every time. Unfortunately, it's a joke that has not aged well in our culture. But there is a scene where there is a model set up of a Lobster House restaurant in the surrounding town. And Bobcat Goldthwait, of all people, is in this movie. And he is supposed to be guarding a costume truck with his brother. And he is told not to touch anything before the brother leaves. Of course. Then he's pushing around. He's wearing a Swami hat, going through all the costumes, and he comes across a Godzilla costume and goes, what is this? And he puts it on, and he's supposed to be watching the party where he's supposed to get to the party where the bully is at, so the bully doesn't go attack John Cusack when he's dating the bully's girlfriend. Mm-hmm. And at the party, he cannot get the Godzilla suit off, so he runs across town to the party in a Godzilla suit, gets there, and he's hiding in the bushes, and an old man flicks a cigar into his mouth, and it burns him up, and he can't. So now he's Godzilla with smoke coming out of his mouth, and he's screaming like Bobcat Goldthwait, and he's stomping the fucking town. And there's a whole bunch of jokes after that again are not PC. The act of Bobcat Goldthwait in a Godzilla suit stomping a town with cigar smoke coming out of his mouth still to this day makes me laugh because they put the Godzilla stomp theme from Toho on there, the dun 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 dun, that has actually become popular on social media nowadays with a remix. Oh my God, I love that movie.
So friggin' good, so friggin' good. So I have this video clip queued up. Shall I?
Oh, you should. It's okay. 21 seconds of joy.
Do it. Here we go, guys. Just for you.
Yeah, actually, I am afraid of the water. But this is a big boat. A lot of safety equipment. I can see the land. Clean, fresh air. Chill it out.
I can see the fresh air. Chill it out.
Shoves it right in its face.
I may just have opened up a new string of buzzers for you at trivia. Chill it out.
Chill it out.
That's all it'll be. Chill it out. A little reverb at the end.
Look, I mean, we grew up in that era where
we did.
These movies.
Some would say we never grew up after that era.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much stuff that is just not PC and not fit for today's world. So like some of the jokes in there, like that is a completely G-rated idiotic joke, and it's a sight joke.
Yeah.
Because if you're not seeing this, John Cusack gets that dog shoved in his face. It's just fucking gross.
Right.
There's some stuff that you have to explain. Like I've watched some of these movies with my kids, and I'm like, listen, like they're using some words here that are not suitable for public. I don't want to hear you repeating them.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like shit like that. But the chili dog joke will never die. Just like in Clerks.
It's so good.
There's some things in Clerks that probably shouldn't be repeated.
As vulgar as a film as that movie is, you can always go snack cake and somebody's going to know.
Or you could always say, what do you mean there's no ice? You mean I got to drink this coffee hot? It's humor in the simplest ways. But yeah, so there you've gotten your one crazy summer fix.
I love it, dude. I love it. I realized something as we were recording this show.
What?
And I know I normally state that, and then I say something catastrophic like, I never hit record, or something like that.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I had a feeling. No, it's nothing like that. But I recently had changed out the seat that I use when we would do our recording sessions. I have like, it's kind of odd, but in the disco dungeon across the way from me, I have the old dining room set actually from my old apartment. When Holly and I first moved in together, like that was our dining room set. We moved into the house, we replaced it, and I'm like, I'm not getting rid of this. I want to keep it, and use it for, and I use it for like organizing tackle and like working on stuff. But I had been using one of the chairs from that set as my seat while I do the show. And I did that because previously I was using an old drum throne of mine, which is nice because I can adjust the height of it. Now, Sean, I guarantee you can't hear this, but at one point in our recording earlier on, and I think it was when your audio had upgraded to where you were using an external mic and headphones, you were listening to a show and you're like, yeah, I keep hearing this squeak kind of in the background every once in a while. It's weird. I wonder what that is. And I changed out the chair and I never heard anything about it. And it's the chair because I switched it back and I'm like, yeah. Can you hear it? Yeah. I'm like, son of a bitch. There it is. So, folks, I apologize if you had to hear that this entire time. But, yeah, I'm going to have to switch back to the old kitchen chair because it didn't squeak.
A very rare appearance from Bobby Rose squeaky toy.
Bobby Rose squeak. My God.
There you go. Bobby Rose squeak.
Oh, man, this is freaking wild. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed all that. We have a bunch of really, really great stuff coming up for you guys. Actually, I'm going to tease a little bit here. We do have a couple of big announcements that are going to be coming very soon. I'm hoping within the next month or so. Be ready for that because we have some information that's going to drop. One of those things is going to involve truck camping, and I'm really psyched about that specifically. But I mean, much, much more. And some of this stuff actually benefits you guys directly, which would be great. But I think that's about it. You want to wrap this sucker up there, Sean?
I just want to add on to the truck camping thing. I mean, yes. I can't wait to be out, ready to fish. I mean, out there in the mountains, fresh, clean air. Chili dog.
Chili dog.
Chili dog.
Why is this spicy?
So did you remember what the punchline to that is too? That's a simple joke, but it's actually a setup for another sight gag.
No, like I said, it's been a while.
At the beginning of the movie, who was it? It was the Murray's, Bill Murray or whatever Murray it was. His kid's sister in the movie. He's getting picked on because her dog's got a cone on its head, and there's two little girls that keep making faces at the dog, and the crossing guard says, if you make those faces and someone slaps you on the back, your faces will stay that way forever.
Like that. Yep.
And they're making faces at the dog, and the little girl comes up and slaps them both on the back. And for the rest of the movie, these little girls are running around and kind of like their faces are all fucked up. And so the joke with John Cusack is his mom thinks he's going to be a basketball player. He thinks he's going to be a basketball player, but he can't make a shot. So Bill Murray's brother hands him the chili dog, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. And he goes to throw it away, and he hits this dude that's like half asleep next to the garbage on the ferry going to Nantucket. And he gets hit with chili dog. He's like, what the fuck? And he wakes up, and the two girls are standing there. He goes, hey, you kids, what are you doing? He turns around, and they turn around.
And it's them?
He's like, yeah, it's the two ugly girls. He's like, ah! And they're screaming at him.
So stupid. It's so fucking simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
It's old, stupid sight gags that are just so funny. Well, we may have to have a viewing at my house this summer.
I think so.
It's so fucked up. But living in Massachusetts, you know what? 2 movies we watch before we go to Cape Cod if we go on vacation is Jaws and One Crazy Summer.
Yeah,
you have to, because there's parody stuff in One Crazy Summer from Jaws.
Oh yeah. Dude, that's awesome. You know what? Yeah. Oh, dude. We could open this up and do an outdoor movie viewing with like an inflatable screen, because I got access, man. Maybe we'll do this as like a little Jigs and Bigs listener appreciation thing if we can find the room to do this.
If we're doing it outside,
double feature,
we can do it at my house, but we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Oh, this has to be a small crowd that we know.
Yeah, it would have to be really, really small. Exactly.
Drunk, a weird combination of drunk and rowdy and respectful.
And respectful at the same time. Definitely. That's a good idea. Oh, I kind of like that idea. Anyway, guys, this show has been fantastic. I love just switch it back on. Like, oh, I'm hosting a freaking podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope we brought you guys. I hope this show here. If there's one wish that the 8-year-old boy in Bobby Roast Beef in his heart it wants you to know, it's that I wish that we brought you some education, enlightened you a little bit. You know, maybe we taught you something, but I hope we made you laugh. Even more than anything else. And those two things together are absolutely what this show is all about. Quick reminder, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, give us a review and a rating over at Apple Podcasts. Helps us out way more than you think it does. And even a rating on Spotify is awesome. If you listen on Spotify, give us just a quick star rating, whatever it might be. But we want to try to see that number grow as much as possible to know the type of feedback that we're getting from you guys. Not only what you think about it, but also just to kind of like let other folks know, because we're seeing this pop right now with listeners, and we've already picked up followers on Instagram as well, so we want to keep it going and get that Jigs and Bigs goodness out there to everybody. So we're gonna go ahead.
Speaking of which,
yes,
we didn't mention, but don't forget, everybody, weekly, we're back up and running.
Fishing
every
report
week.
every
fishing
single
report
week.
Northeast Wild Woman's blog.
Yep.
Get out there, hit that. If you're in the area, you'll hear our 2 cents on the fishing scene.
You know, and it's one thing if you're from the area and you want to learn about some of the conditions that you're dealing with, but also if you're in an area where you think your weather conditions and climate is similar to what we've got here in Western Massachusetts, it's good information to pick up anyways. Check out northeastwildwoman.com. Check out the fishing report every single week. It's like, I think every single Thursday you can check it out. And guys, have yourselves a great one. Get out there and catch some freaking fish. If you're in this tournament, like, let's get on it. This is crazy. We got 2 weeks to go. Whole lot of fun. Let's make it an adventure. We're going to have a great one, guys. Keep in touch with us. Let us know how things are going. Of course, if you have any questions about the show or the tournaments or any of that stuff, you can DM us at Jigs and Bigs on Instagram. Like we say each and every week, guys, take good care and
tits and ass, smoke some grass.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2.